Hey, Xavier. Just waiting for everyone else to show up. Okay. I didn't think this would make a big difference on the stream, but I mean, it makes a big difference on my screen. I'm basically using a TV essentially for for the monitor. Um, and of course, natively it wants to run 1080p. I've always cranked down the resolution on the screen because I figured, oh well, if it's drawing less pixels, it should cause it to not chug along as bad. But I mean, the CPU usage seems to be pretty low regardless. It seems pretty much on par right now. So, like I said, I cranked it up to 1080p, and I'm just kind of seeing how it's going. Like I said, its CPU usage is right around like 5-6%, 30 frames per second. I mean, it's kind of the kilobits per second though. It keeps fluctuating between about 2200 and 3200. I don't know why it's such a wide range, but I mean, so far so good. We'll see. Hey Ryan, how are you? I'm doing good myself. For the most part, didn't get anywhere near the stuff done I wanted to get done today. Seems like the older I get, that just seems to get harder and harder to get the stuff done I want to get done. What's up, Joker's Wild? Just waiting on the chat room. I know the chat room is quite a bit behind the show, but I did that so that you could choose basically for lower bit rate and have more time, more in sync. And if I was doing a show like Cyrus does, where um, it's just one camera and I'm just broadcasting to YouTube and I'm not I'm not running a live Skype call at the same time with multiple people. I probably would have it so that the chat room is more up to sync. So, but like I said, it's not a one person show. Although I have had evenings where I didn't know if anyone else was getting on with me, and it was like, all right, I may have to do a one person show, which I was like, I guess I could do like an AMA, but man, I don't know if anyone. Number one, if I didn't have anyone in the chat room that night, that would be out the window. But I don't know if anyone would want to hear me just like go on and on and on about whatever my thoughts on something else. I mean, that's the reason I like to do the show. The show is a uh, excuse to get my geeky friends together and talk about stuff. So it's just an excuse to, hey, let's have a topic and we'll record it. But for the most part, it's let's just get together and hang out. So just watching in the chat here. Let's see. Stay. So far, so good. Looks like still trying not to leave too much dead air, but it is what it is. Oh, I know I can talk about. Um, if you follow the book club show, the Marginally Geeky show, we started reading this book series that I adore. I love this book series. It's the Magic 2.0 series. And the premise of the books is this guy named Martin Banks. He's not a hacker. He just likes messing around with computers and, kind of doing stuff or whatever. And he ends up finding this file that he quickly learns actually controls pretty much reality as we know it. So like one of the things he does, he looks for his name, he finds his name, he corrects his height from like 5'11" to 6'1" or whatever, which is what he always writes down. Because none of us ever inflate our height or anything, and realizes like, wow, I'm actually 2 inches taller. That was scary. So he plays around with the file. He gets in trouble, and he decides, well, I can use the file to kind of manipulate reality. What if I like went back in time to a time when magic was, a thing? So he ends up going back to medieval England, and while he's there, he meets a wizard. And they have a duel, and he's completely and totally outclassed. And he wakes up the next morning, and the wizard's there, and he's like, he finds his phone, and of course Martin's kind of, because that's how he's controlling everything. Martin's kind of iffy. He's like, what the hell's going on? And the wizard tells him, he says, my name is Philip McCaw. I'm from 1986, I think. No, it had to be after 86. Maybe 87, something like that. Anyway, he also found the file. He's like, basically, there's a group of us that all found the file, all pretty much did the same thing you did. I'm assuming you got in trouble. You did something or another, put extra money in your bank account, something or another, which is actually what he got in trouble for. And we all came back to this time, and we're basically pretending to be wizards by manipulating the file. So anyway, there's the 5th book just came out in the series, and we just finished reviewing the 3rd one. Where next month we're reviewing the 4th one, and of course we'll do the 5th one. But in the course of all of this, we were discussing, and Lainey and Jennifer and I were all like, "Man, it'd be what if we did a group cosplay for that at Geek Fest, which is coming up here in just over a month." So that's what we're gonna do. I'm actually going to cosplay as Philip. So Lainey's, and I know nothing about sewing. Like, I'm still learning a lot of cosplay stuff. I'm getting more and more comfortable on the 3D printing stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I can design that, 3D print it, and but like, stuff that's too large to definitely 3D print or would be, too much detail. Say something like a wizard staff, for example. I've started working on. I started working on it yesterday. But anyway, what I was saying was Lainey's mom is working on my wizard robe, which is actually really cool. So while hey, there she is. I'm gonna have to kind of stretch this around a little bit. Anyway, so yeah, so she's working on my wizard robe, and yesterday I started work on my wizard staff. That's what I was going to show you. I've been trying to fill the air until someone showed up, Lainey.
Oh.
So let's see here.
I don't think you're allowed to show your staff on the internet.
All right. So anyway, so basically I took it's a 5 foot, I cut it in half, but it's a 5 foot tall PVC pipe that I took a heat gun to and put some bends in. You can kind of see the bend there. It's not completely straight, and it's a little easier to see up there as well. But I did several bends in it, and then I've wrapped it in EVA foam, the floor mat foam like you get, you find it like in gyms and stuff. And so far, I'm really pleased with it. The glue that I bought, I wasn't 100% sure. It is contact cement like everyone else uses. It just wasn't the exact same brand, but you can see it's actually holding together pretty well for most of it. The problem is up here at the top, and this is where I started to have some concerns. You can see that it's kind of like coming apart right there and right down there. But I think that's just because I cut the EVA foam a little on the shy side. So I'm not too worried about it. I was going to go back over it with some more EVA foam, some thinner foam, because I need to build it up in certain areas. But yeah, so I'm working on a wizard staff. So should be fun. And if you follow me on Instagram, you can go along for the fun. So.
Ooh.
How are you, Lainey?
I'm fine. I think I left my phone somewhere. I may have to get up and go get it. I don't know where it is though.
Well, no one else is here, so feel free to
I was
get
gonna
up and
say, if
grab it.
you want me to go anywhere since you're filling dead air.
Yeah, if you want to, go ahead and go grab it. So.
Okay, I'll be right back. Molly, do you want to talk a little bit?
Hi, Molly.
Hi. Don't say anything inappropriate, okay?
Okay.
Promises.
Are y'all still in the chat room? Like, I haven't seen. I see the streaming, and it says average live duration. Okay, but it still says live, so I guess it's still updating. If y'all are in the chat room, say something. I can't. I'm not seeing anything. All right, Joker. I just saw something from Joker's Wild, so. Okay, good. Just making sure. So.
Okay.
There she is. Uh-oh, hold on. Ray is messaging me. Let's see what this is about.
Oh no.
Hello? Hey, what's up?
So listen, you're gonna have to add a new person to the list.
Okay.
Can you search for Ray Andrew on Skype?
Yeah.
Find a yellow circle as my picture with a Hulk hand holding a bunch of Marvel characters.
Okay. Let me.
Gotta love computers.
Gotta love computers. All right, so let me see here. I don't know if I can add you this way here. Add people. Okay, let's see here. Is it Ray or Raymond? Ray Andrew. No, it looks like I'm gonna have to drop the call real quick and then add you that way. So no problem. I'll take care of it.
God.
All right, bye. All right, Lainey, be right back.
All right, bye.
All right, let's see here. So I'm back. Now let's add some folks here. We've got adding people. You know what? I think I did this wrong. Yeah, I did. I screwed this up. All right, we're trying this again.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
So what happened?
Hi. There's Lainey.
Nobody.
I see Lainey.
Yeah. Do you see Eugene?
No.
Do you not see me?
Can't see Eugene.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe the video come in later. Who knows?
That's weird.
Damn.
Yeah, Skype. Anyway, so what happened?
Well, okay. I don't know. That's weird. I can see Lainey, so that's good.
Welcome.
There's
There you
Eugene.
go.
Oh, okay.
I don't see Jen yet.
She may still be getting home, and then Jay said he'd be on his way. So
Okay. So I guess our Skype updated and kicked me out of the account of some form or whatever. Here, we'll switch spots. Oh. So anyway, we get going and trying to log in, and we have not logged out of Skype in years. I don't remember this time. And so
hello, Pupper.
I go to put in the different type of passwords that I've been using for that account, and it says, okay, well, why don't you just reset your password? So I'm resetting my password, and it says, well, send it to your email address, which is an email address that I haven't used since I was a teenager or something like that. So I said, shit, I'm locked out of that one. So I had to go about and try and get that one.
Uh-huh.
So going through that one, I was like, okay, that one's at least linked to my current email account. So I've been trying to get a code for yahoo.ca to send it to my Gmail account so I can reset that account so that I can reset my Skype account.
Mm-hmm.
Except that the yahoo.ca is not sending the code to my Gmail account for whatever reason. And so I did let's try and recover my Skype account through Microsoft Online.
Right.
You can say who your contacts were, and they'll review what your old passwords were, and you kind of go through all that stuff. And so I was doing that, and it says, "Great, you did great. You gave we'll review it and get back to you in 24 hours." Fuck off.
Of course.
So this is an old account that I've had for I don't know how long. So this is our temporary one, I guess, and
Well, there you go.
it works.
Fun.
Yay!
Fun stuff.
I love how you say what? How did you call it? Yahoo? No.
Say yahoo.com. Say it.
It's yahoo.ca.
Yahoo. Yahoo.
Yahoo. What else
Yahoo.
is- What is it? What's it supposed
It's
to be?
Yahoo.
Well,
Yeah.
we know it's Yahoo because there were commercials back in the day that went
Yeah.
Yahoo. Yeah.
Yahoo. There's an A there.
It is.
We
yeah.
know. Ah,
That's a good point.
H, there's 2 O's, so it's Yahoo.
We're from Texas. It's Yahoo.
Like I said, I just know it because of the commercial. Like whatever the commercial says, I'm like, okay, so.
The commercials are correct.
So,
You see on TV.
yes, absolutely. I was discussing my wizard staff with the chat room to fill air.
Don't make the obvious
Nobody's
joke.
making a dirty joke about wizard staff. He said it like 20 times. And it's killing me.
You don't make
You
the
can't.
obvious
You don't
joke.
make the obvious joke.
You don't make the obvious joke about your wonder, your staff. Even though Jennifer was doing it in the chat, and someone should have brought that up, and I didn't even think about it.
I'm never going to not do it. So
Are you kidding me? Now that I'm going to be holding one, I'm not going to not be able to.
you never held them before?
Look at the sides of my black staff.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm going to make so many fucking jokes. You're going to have to put like a brick wall behind me and give me an ugly tie and a microphone.
Like it's the 90s.
Did you see the poster I put on Marginally Geeky, by the way?
Yes.
The wizards are not allowed. You know what you did.
Oh, yes. You know what you did.
Have that.
Oh, that's funny.
I did a bit of research.
Oh, he did a shit ton of research. Like he's cross-referencing and
Yeah. I had to cut off at certain points because, like I said, I will say, and I'm going to bring this up at the beginning of the show. I'm glad we decided to start with the 70s because it really is the genesis of modern pop culture.
Yeah.
Like it's because I kept going through and like the music stuff. I'm just like, no, someone else will have information.
You don't need to do that. I already did that episode on Epic Rhythm and Brews.
Yes, but we can still reference something.
You have
So-
to. Music was a huge part of the 70s. I'm just saying you don't have to do a comprehensive list. I already took care of it.
Right.
I'll be right back.
But yeah, toys, the tech, TV, man.
Oh, baby. Chico and the Man.
Well, the thing that I was looking at was, we'll get to it in a second. We're about to jump the gun here. But yeah, just some of the stuff that it brought up, I'm like, I didn't even think about it that way. Like it's totally changed the way I thought about some of this stuff. So take it the pupper needs to go outside.
yeah, he's been a bit of a douche nozzle this evening. So
I don't believe that.
you know. So yeah, we were at my mom's and yeah, it kind of started there and it's kind of carried over since we got home.
Are you telling him that? Are you telling him he's being a douche nozzle?
No, I'm telling you he's being an asshole.
Oh, okay.
That's what I tell Molly. She's so
Yeah.
Isn't that right? She won't look at me right now, but that doesn't mean anything. She usually won't look at me. Are you mad at me? She got the hiccups last night, and I think she thought she was dying.
Uh-huh.
Because she was like, we're like laying in bed. I was watching a movie, and all of a sudden she starts like kind of moving around, and I see like her stomach kind of going. And so she starts like getting up, and she's freaking out. She's looking at me, and she's like, "Mom, it's an emergency. Mom." I'm like, okay,
Dying.
so
Come on, woman.
she thought she was dying, and so I took her outside, and she just starts like eating grass like voraciously, like she's dying. I know, I'm talking about you. She was like flipping out, and then like finally she kind of calmed down, and I was like, okay, are we good? You want to go back inside? And so we go back in, and she lays down, and she kind of goes,
Aw.
and passes out. She was exhausted from the effort of panicking, just like her mommy. Isn't that right? Yay.
So, Lainey, just so that you're aware,
Oh no.
I'm going to be honest here. I had that gift queued up before you answered. I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to send. And I was just waiting for somebody to, okay, and send. Oh, shit. Oh, uh-oh.
That's okay.
Nice.
It's
I got a new tattoo.
Me.
Oh, really?
Queen bee.
Queen bee.
Fuck yeah. That's fucking awesome. Holy shit.
I got it on Wednesday.
Proud of you. I saw a little one.
It's for my grandma. I didn't get it for myself. It's for my grandma.
Oh, nice.
It's
Yeah, but
really
when
good.
Yeah, the artist. She did a great job.
When she's gonna be the queen bee anyway, so it's,
I'll be.
Gonna be.
I'll be.
she is here. But
I saw a little tattoo and I think I want it. So one of the things that they say on that other podcast I listen to that I love so much is fuck politeness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I saw these girls that got politeness on their finger.
Nice. Just this. Her.
I know, but I kind of need a little bit of something to like. I need a cathartic experience. So I think might be good.
oh, that
By pain.
will cleanse your soul.
Oh yeah, I like getting tattooed because it like gets all of the stuff.
That's why I always like going and getting pierced. So I was like, yes,
Yeah, it's like
this hurts.
Yeah, yeah, and I worked myself up into a massive frenzy this week.
Yeah, we remember the comment. Did it help? Did our
Okay, so that was fine. It was it was a total clusterfuck because then all the pain stuff. And they still didn't text us to let us know that they had canceled. They still did it for our other friends. So at the end,
Hi.
Hi Jen.
Hey, Jen.
I was having like
We can hardly hear. Hold on. Okay, Kristen Ray, say something.
Yeah, what's up?
Y'all are really low now.
Did I steal all the noise?
It kind of sounds that way.
Something.
'Cause I can barely hear. I can hear you two. I can hear Jen, but I can hardly hear Lainey.
I like how I'm leaning in. Like if I get closer, I'll be
Yeah.
able to
No, that actually worked.
Actually, yeah, that did work a
do
little
the
bit.
show like this.
Yes. We'll all do the show.
Just a forehead.
This is a terrible idea, guys.
Okay.
Horrible idea.
This is good. There we go.
Oh,
Can't
God.
say, you know? Awful.
just do it like this.
Hello.
Hey,
Pretty.
Lainey.
Pretty.
Wait, I forgot my notes. Hang on.
Okay.
I didn't write any notes.
Okay.
I had massive mom guilt this week, so I ended up having like a bit of a panic attack on Wednesday night, and
Can you hear us all right?
Yeah, we got you now.
yeah, so I'm fine now. But yeah, there's Wednesday night stuff.
I think you're-
huh?
Just stupid shit like worrying about stuff that doesn't matter.
Such is anxiety.
Yes. Which
I'm gonna go grab a beer real quick. I'll be right back.
It, like,
Look, I found wine in a can.
Do you like it? I haven't had canned wine yet.
This is my favorite type of wine.
Really?
Oh.
To do the beauty makeup thing.
Oh yes, the beauty.
But it's like it's a sweet wine, which I like. I don't like dry wine.
I was about to say I'm supposed to go to a pool party with Jennifer tomorrow. Maybe I'll pick that up. And I remembered that thing starts at noon, and I can't buy alcohol here until afternoon. So I think I'm just going to use the random beers that are sitting in my fridge.
Yeah.
There's like 10.
Because it's Sunday tomorrow.
Or you're fashionably late.
I could go and leave and come back. That'll be fine. I have like a bunch of random beers sitting in my fridge.
So do we.
Is that really the rule? You can't buy till afternoon?
Yeah. In Texas, you can't buy alcohol. You can't buy beer and wine until after 12, and you can't buy any liquor.
I mean, at least you can buy it on Sundays now.
Why?
They used to not let you.
It's
Because
bullshit.
Jesus.
Baptist dumbass law. They've already got it stockpiled in their closets anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter.
It's the Sabbath. You can't do it on Sabbath.
Yeah, you know what I like to do on Sabbath? Fucking rest with a beer in my hand.
As Jesus would do.
'Cause I'm a godless heathen.
Couple of quick things. Ryan says your tattoo looks great. He said getting tattoos on the inside of my upper arm hurt more than I thought it would.
Oh,
Shoulders, around the bones too.
I mean,
It's in fingers.
the one on my rib cage, it didn't hurt when she hit rib. It tickled. Is that
It's
weird?
almost worse because I want one there and I hate being tickled. Like it's a panic inducing.
It's not like tickling like when you think of tickling. It's a weird vibrating thing.
Yeah, that's probably not good.
So I was so out of it by the time she got to my rib cage. I was like, whatever. Like, I just got really quiet. I could have probably fallen asleep.
See, and I think I can, and then they hit the spot, and you're like, never mind, I'm awake.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the finger was the entire time.
Oh, well, it was only like-
okay, this is fun.
Yeah, it only took 15 minutes, so it's not like we had time to fall asleep.
No, but it's the longest 15 minutes you've ever been.
Yes.
There.
Hey Jennifer, look, my wand is much thicker and blacker now. So is that better?
A, like,
The bigger, blacker wand.
The bigger, blacker wand. By the way, it was mentioned before the show, before you jumped on here, that you're not supposed to make the obvious joke about your wand or your staff, but you know.
Well, you know,
Sorry, Jen, you're-
not a wizard, so
I said I don't give a shit. I'm gonna do whatever I want.
fucking adult, grown.
Like Beyonce said.
So, update on the story status.
Okay.
We're 30 minutes away from the finish.
Oh, would you let it go? Let it go. Let it just.
Come on, Elsa. Let it go.
I want to just finish it and plow through. Somebody's making me wait for the kids.
I'm making them because we've been listening to all 4 of them together as a listening.
Adorable.
I'm winning this one.
I'm sorry.
Lainey, you and I can listen to the book together. We'll just meet up and listen to it at the same time.
Perfect. I have it like queued up and ready to roll. So
Have
I'm almost done
you
with book
started the
4.
first one yet?
yes, Dad, I started the first one. Yeah, I started the first one. I was working on some stuff for school this week, and I was listening to it while I did that. I alternated between putting that on and then watching Drag Queen web series like an adult. Very on brand. It's shitty condos now, and it makes me sad every time I drive by because I used to love that place. Rode my first roller coaster there. Thanks, Dad. It scared the shit out of me. I didn't ride another one for like 5 years.
Yeah, I went on my first one when I was 9. I went on the wildebeest. Yeah, that's one.
It's a wooden roller coaster.
Screaming.
Roller coaster, my first one.
Yeah, clung on to my dad for dear life. Yeah, I didn't go on another one until I was a teenager.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad was like, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I was like, okay. And then I did it.
Loves them, right? Like he absolutely loves them. And
And the wooden roller coasters don't have any loop loops, right? And that's what everybody's scared of is the loop loops. Meanwhile, the wooden roller coaster is what's going to scare the shit out of you.
because the lap
I was gonna say the other one is steel. Like it is like fucking. It's not coming apart. The wooden ones have nails and screws and vibrate.
Yes.
And that shit comes out,
Painful.
and I'm
They're
just
painful.
exactly. Is it supposed to shake like this, or is it? Am I about to die?
If it's my time, it's my time.
You know what?
Fuck that.
You know what they should do? So if they make a short, like a theme park based on Magic 2.0, they should make a wooden roller coaster and call it Martin's Revenge. And
Yes.
as your
This should be a show.
Literally, it's just shaking the entire way through.
Wait.
How was it? That was the worst thing I've ever. I'm sorry, you have to say it like a go. That was the worst thing I have ever been on.
That would be a really good show idea.
Yeah.
Parks, theme
I
park.
have those ideas once in a while.
They sell burritos, but they come in a wizard hat, so you pull them. That would be awesome.
Okay, can we make like millions of dollars so we can create this park ourselves?
Sure.
Only the 5 of us
know about this or would understand it, so it would be mixed up.
I think he has a little bit of a following. I just don't know how much of a following it is, but yeah.
But who else is gonna cosplay those fucking characters?
Fucking no
No,
one.
I guarantee. See, I'm telling you, we need to do a good job on this. We're gonna send it to the dude on his Facebook account, and yeah.
Twitter.
So he doesn't have a Twitter account. I looked.
Oh shit. Well, Twitter's where they're more likely to see it.
Yeah.
Well, no, he has an
Instagram.
actual Facebook account, like for his writing and stuff. So
If he looks.
yeah, no. Otherwise, otherwise, I agree. It would be you'd have a better chance getting a hold of him via Twitter or Instagram. So. All right, if y'all are ready, we'll go ahead and get started.
Jay said he was
Am
coming.
I?
What?
Did anybody hear my genius show idea before we start?
Yes, sick.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just saying. Armchair Imagineering 2.0, let's fucking do it.
And it's been a while since we've done some of the previous topics we've done, so if we need to go back and redo.
Plus, they just opened Toy Story Land, so this would be a very timely time to do it. And
True,
Pixar Pier.
But we got to get caught up because we're about to run through the decades.
That's true fact.
So Jason said he'd be on in a few minutes.
That was 10 minutes ago.
15 minutes ago.
Right.
Jason, where are you?
All right. I'm just going to message him back.
I'm such an asshole. Like 15 minutes ago.
He said it'd be on last time, and he doesn't.
And I think the time before that. Anyway,
Oh, shade.
I'm just saying.
And you know, the other thing that I feel like I had to say because it's been a while is, who's Lou?
Greedo?
Yep.
Yeah, I know. I forgot that Lou existed until I saw him in the flesh.
I have never seen him in the
You've
flesh.
never met him.
I don't think he exists.
You're missing out.
He does exist because I've got 3 people on right now that can attest to him being here. So unless we all hallucinated him at the same time,
That would be
Guys,
awesome.
Speaking up this guy, you can fill the void that the Canadians left when we took off and left Texas.
Oh, Lewis.
what's sad is I've known him since I was 5, which means I've been hallucinating him for the last 35 years.
Maybe he's Eugene's imaginary friend.
This is starting to make more sense.
Yeah. Who's that imaginary creature from?
I just want to make sure he doesn't disappear like
Yeah.
in Inside Out. What was his name? Mr.
Wrong. Why did you have to bring
Yes.
that up right now? Eugene,
Oh, that is.
what the fuck?
Aw.
By the way, I need to go back and rewatch that movie. That movie is so good.
So does he turn to dust like
No, don't
If-
say it. Don't say
If
it.
anyone on the show / network would be,
Bing bong.
he'd be one of them. Yeah,
Yeah, Bing Bong.
Bing Bong.
Bing bong. Man. No, I
Too
think
soon, man. Too soon.
maybe it's Eugene's imaginary friend, and we're just all like placating him and have been
Yeah.
for a long time.
I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh, yes, I see him. He's right there. Wow, Lou, that was
If Sai was in the chat room, I don't know if anyone else would start it, but I was going to say if Sai was in the chat room, I can see them going on this long, coming up with this theory that actually all of y'all are just like they don't see y'all, and literally they just tune in every week to have me like they're watching me go through this psychotic breakdown.
That'd be pretty funny.
Just having these horrible fever dreams, and we're all part of your hallucinations.
They've actually got a chat going. They're like,
Oh, it goes up.
Oh no!
oh no, Eugene disappeared.
Dad's frozen.
Uh-oh. Hey, now we can talk about,
Oh,
you know.
Christ.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, good. We can finally say we were. Oh, shh.
can y'all hear me? I mean, y'all can hear me, but you couldn't see me, right? Yeah.
No, you were
Couldn't even
like,
hear you.
We couldn't hear anything either.
Couldn't hear me either? Damn.
You must have fallen asleep for like 10 seconds. We were trying to wake you up.
It's the bandwidth. It keeps fluctuating for some reason. Like I'm sitting here watching it. It's perfectly fine. Christy's not in there doing anything else or, but it's just,
are
it's
you-
going between like 22 and 3,200.
Are you sure that I'm going to be able to jump on? for
Yeah,
the
because
first
we won't,
podcast?
we won't be using two
Oh no.
It'll be yes, all at the same time.
Okay, we won't be using is all we heard.
We won't be using two Skype streams and OBS at the same time. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, Joker's wild like the Batman psychosis theory. Basically that. So, all right. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna cue up the intro. We'll get going. Muting the mic.
You're listening to the Epically Geeky Show, a place for all things geeky.
Welcome out to the Epically Geeky Show, episode number 96. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. I was really expecting Ray to jump in and go,
Wanted to. I thought about it. I saved that.
I know, buddy. Our opening question for tonight is, if you had to rock a 70s look, which one would you choose? Bell bottom, butterfly collar, platform shoes, or tracksuits? Lainey?
Choose the three lamest ones. Fuck off.
There's four of them. Which one are you picking?
Say them again. Tracksuit, platform
Bell
shoes.
bottoms, platform shoes, or butterfly collar.
Okay, let me ask you something. The bell bottoms. They're like the cute, like high-waisted denim ones, yes?
Picture traditional 70s bell bottoms. Yes.
I want to wear those. I want to wear them with a Led Zeppelin t-shirt.
Okay.
That's my 70s look.
Too much information. All right.
And feathered like Farrah Fawcett. I am giving you full 70s realness over here. All right?
Okay. Jennifer, which one are you rocking?
I'm gonna go with the shoes.
Okay.
When the Spice Girls came around and wore those ridiculous platforms, I was all about that life. I know it's a different kind of platform, but like, I love those ridiculous tall shoes, and I love shoes. So yeah, we're going with the platforms.
Awesome. Chris, which one are you going with?
So when I was in high school, so this is like mid to late 90s, there was a revival of 70s style. So I actually did own quite a few pairs of bell bottoms with a bunch of skater
Yeah, that's right.
So I did that. But if I were to do it now, I would just do full bohemian hippie stuff. Like I'd look like Stevie Nicks.
That's where the bell bottoms come in.
Yep.
Like when she was like in her boho gypsy thing.
When
Yeah.
she was hardcore singing Rhiannon on a stage, twirling around with a top hat. God bless her.
Ray?
Tracksuit.
Tracksuit.
It doesn't matter what I pick, it's all going to look shit on me because I don't have the frame for it.
70s would not have been put a lot of tightness on a big.
It's like the only thing that I would get by on is I would have the 70s muscle car.
Mm-hmm.
So at least I would have that.
But what would you be wearing in the muscle car?
No, I think I'd be wearing the bell bottoms. I honestly do.
Oh my God,
I think I would be wearing the bell bottoms because that's the only thing that I could see myself actually wearing in any of those three choices. And at least with those,
You'd look like Pink from Dazed and Confused.
exactly. I could rock this.
Yeah. Okay, can I throw something out there? And Ray, don't get mad at me.
Okay.
The first thing I thought of when you were saying that was that if we put you in a leisure suit, you'd look like Bob from that 70s show.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, he's gonna look sad.
Like the tracksuit with like some gold chains.
Had such broad shoulders.
And I wouldn't.
I'm like you. None of them are going to look good on me. I honestly said tracksuit. I'm just like, whatever.
Sure.
I'm gonna look like a reject from Jersey Shore or something. But it's yeah.
Because
the butterfly collar to me, I mean, I don't try to like show off the chest hair too much, but just having the shirt like white, yeah, just don't even.
Oh, not
course-
going for that Barry Gibb look.
No, I'm not. No, definitely not doing that. Now what's funny is we do still have some older gentlemen within the district that do still like, it's like, wow, you've missed a button or two there, dude, because it's a little lower than it should be. But anyway, yeah.
Your nipples.
Yeah.
Oh, that stallion looks great, dude.
The reason at our geek weekend, someone brought up the idea, and I don't remember who it was, that maybe we should do episodes where we talk about pop culture. Was it you? Okay. No? Okay.
Wasn't me. No.
Where we talk about pop culture through the decades. And I thought, oh, that's actually a really good idea. So that's what we're doing. And when I proposed this idea to everyone, the question that I put out there was, what decade do we start in? Now, granted, some of us were born in the late 70s.
Eugene.
But we're
Some of us.
definitely, well, okay, I was including anyone else who might be on the show. Sorry. But we're definitely children of the 80s. And it's like, and that's what we voted on, and I'm really glad we did. Are you not hearing me? Can you hear me? Hello? Am I here? Okay. What I was saying was we decided to start on the 70s, and I'm glad we did, because as we started researching 70s pop culture, it's very apparent that the 70s is where modern pop culture started. Like that's it. So with that said, we're going to kind of, and I also asked, should we split this into multiple episodes? And the puppy needed something. And we were deciding to try to do one episode. So we may have to run through this pretty quick.
What?
Area of 70s pop culture that y'all want to start with?
Sorry.
Eugene, you keep freezing.
You cut out a lot of that.
Right now.
Cut out a lot of that, huh? All right.
We heard that they're a part of 70s pop culture.
Okay. Which part of 70s pop culture would you like to start with?
You want?
I'm going to throw out comic book ones because I think this one's going to be quick and dirty.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, let's go ahead and start with the fashion then.
What?
Go ahead and start. What?
Okay,
What?
yeah, you go ahead. I'll sit back.
Ray goes, we could do the comics because that should be pretty quick and dirty. And Eugene literally goes, okay, let's start with the fashion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought he heard it. It kind of okay. No, start with comics. You're killing me. You're goddamn killing me. If you would please
I thought I
start with the
misheard.
comics. I'm going to get an Ethernet cord and see if I can fix this bullshit. Be right back.
Thanks, Dad.
I didn't research comics. So
I didn't do comics either.
all you, buddy.
He went nuts with the research. It's actually really impressive.
I actually didn't research fashion either, though. So
I did the fashion.
Yes, you did.
I did that. I did it.
Yeah. I don't think I should talk about this till Eugene's on because
He's the only
he's the only
one.
one who's going to appreciate
He's
this.
is the 70s kind of when, like, comics as we know them today
Well, the bronze.
started?
Not really.
Huh?
I mean, you had Archie stuff in the 50s and 60s.
Oh,
Right.
The
Like
bronze
super.
comics started in the 70s.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff that happened in there, and I'll get into it once Eugene gets
We'll just start a little.
All
You
right.
can catch up.
Well, okay, so the one that I will talk about. So the Comic Code Authority had this very strict rule about drugs and alcohol cannot be depicted in comics at all. Like, would not. The American government approached Stan Lee and said, "All right, man, can you make a comic where it shows the bad side of drugs? Like, if we could put somebody that's down on their luck and make it be a villain, whatever." So he ran with that. Made a villain, renewed it from the Green Goblin, and the Green Goblin had a drug problem, and the CCA, which is the Comic Code Authority, said no, we don't agree. Like, you shouldn't be printing this. They printed it anyway, and because of all the good stuff because of the good feedback that they had from it, they've actually changed the code and allowed those to happen, and that changed a bunch of stuff in there. So that was getting some horrible feedback. Is that?
I can barely hear you.
You need to jump off and jump in?
I have no idea. Dad's not here.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm back. I heard a lot of the stuff you were saying. I jumped back on, but okay, it got better.
A ton of like background noise.
Static.
Yeah. Do you want us to jump off and back on and see if it's us?
I don't know. I don't think it's y'all. Because the thing is like, you know, there's a blue bar underneath the people who are talking, and there's Jennifer. I think it's you. Can you unplug the mic?
Oh, there you go.
Is that better?
No.
Is it still me?
Someone else talk.
Hi.
That seems a little better. I mean, it's kind of a lot of air, but at least I can hear everybody.
I don't hear the noise I was hearing earlier, but
No, that's getting worse. Wow. Try unplugging the mic again, Jen. What is that? I've got to come look at your laptop, Jen.
I don't know. I had it unplugged for a few seconds though. I don't know. Were you hearing it when it was unplugged?
Well, we're still hearing it now. Are you unplugging it, plugging it back in?
Well, I left it unplugged for a few seconds. Just
Unplug it and leave it unplugged for a minute.
Yeah, we can't hear it.
I still hear it, but it's not as loud.
Yeah. What is that? Why is that?
Fuck.
Why don't we each just jump off quickly, see which one it is?
Yeah.
I'll jump
Yeah,
off.
could you jump off real quick, Jen, and then jump back in?
Okay.
Well, I know it was already happening whenever I jumped in, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's her Skype count. What is going on with that?
Was it me?
It's you.
So.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just sitting here.
Okay. Right now, it doesn't sound too bad.
Don't move.
Might be a bad
Don't.
wire.
Don't do anything.
What'd you say, Ray?
Might be a bad wire in her mic or something.
Yeah, but okay.
There's some
Yeah.
feedback of some sort.
But it was still there when she unplugged it, though.
Yeah, it might be the computer. Or...
Why would my computer be making that much noise? So.
I don't know. That's the thing.
And I have earphones on.
Do you have a fan or anything on in the background?
Not in this room. My AC's on, but that's like way over there.
Not blowing on.
Do you live under power lines?
No.
Very strong power lines.
That's actually that's a good point, but I don't think that's the case.
Fucking Stranger Things. Like,
I know, right? Okay. Right now it's acceptable. I think let's go ahead and try to go on. So you were saying, Ray, about the comic code and how they kept pushing forward.
So yeah, we'll finish up this game. Green Goblin.
I can't hear you.
speak up.
Can't hear him either.
That any better?
That's
Yeah.
a little better.
What's happening?
Tonight is not our night, guys.
Where are we?
I don't know.
I think
Okay,
we're
that's
down.
okay.
All right. Okay. So the other thing was,
Woo!
what's that?
Uh-huh.
No.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Well, I'm having a lot of editing on this one. Go on.
All right. So 1973, Amazing Spider-Man. They changed comics forever when they killed Gwen Stacy.
Yes.
That was a massive change in the way that comics were written. That was a massive change in how they were perceived by the public. And there was the beginning of the outcry of how dare you? That's our children. Think of the children.
Yep.
So that was kind of a big one. X-Men got canceled in 1970, and then it came back in 1975. That was a big, huge change. And then, I had to throw in here that Wolverine was introduced in 1974. So, it's the Bronze Age of comics. I just thought I'd throw out a little couple of tidbits.
And thank God for that, because Hugh Jackman got a shirt on. Ladies.
And my favorite comic book character started in 1974.
Is
The Punisher.
oh,
There you go.
oh yes, forgot about him.
Doctor Strange got canceled for a bit in the 70s as well.
Of course he did. Why not? I don't have a lot to really add to the comic stuff. I mean,
It was the Bronze Age. I just threw out some interesting ones that I thought would like the 90s is where I know a lot more, obviously. But,
right? Yeah.
But I just thought it was a couple of interesting little tidbits. And it was the beginning of the Bronze Age, what they discussed.
And that's one thing. I mean, even though comic movies, have really taken off in the last, decade, some here and there, of course, before then, but, comics have been around forever, like forever. And you're right. That was the Bronze Age. So, it's just one of those things that they just, no matter what's going on in the world, they just keep trucking and keep moving forward. So, all right. Now that I can hear, should we move on to fashion?
Sure.
You're
Okay.
all fashion tonight, bud. Oh, yeah, okay.
I know, right? So the fashion stuff, we already kind of talked about some of that at the beginning of the show. This was kind of the beginning of the hippie look. A lot
No,
of
it
things.
wasn't. The 60s was the beginning of the hippie look when there
Okay.
were actual hippies.
The 60s is when the hippie movement started. The look didn't take off till the 70s. I did my research on this. I'm just telling you. I did research. You did not. Anyway,
He was there, Lainey.
Well, I'm sure
He was
fucking
there.
screw you, Jen.
You remember. He was
You. This was also big for the glamour look, pantsuits, and then of course disco.
fucking A.
Okay,
Why?
not a fan of disco music. Definitely not a fan of the disco look either. And that was mainly the women. For the men, we had butterfly collars, once again disco, sportswear, and then glam rock. Now, glam rock, I'm like, okay, what exactly is this?
That's that
Yes.
late 70s, almost into the early 80s, rose with glam rock music.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like jeans and shirt and like sometimes wearing a suit. And I'm just like, okay, this isn't too bad. Like I could handle. But when you normally say 70s fashion, normally I'm just like, ooh.
I'm a huge fan of 70s fashion, actually. I love it. It's something that I really wish I had gotten to be a part of because it's all cute high-waisted jeans, cute graphic t-shirts, short shorts, knee-high socks, fucking bohemian bullshit. I'm into it. I'm all about it.
My mom did tell me. So my parents were teenagers in the 70s.
Thank
in
you.
And my mom used to tell me stories about how they used to have to soak their jeans to be able to put them on so that they would fit. And
Oh my God.
Right. So yeah, my
Ew.
mom, a lot of bell bottoms, a lot of graphic t-shirts. She was a farm girl. And my dad, when she had a fro, because her hair grew out, not down, so she had this red fro. And my dad had this really awful long hair. Like it was feathered the wrong way. It was awful. But he was big into the the t-shirts and the bell-bottom jeans. That was
That was my dad.
go-to.
See, my mom had the other kind of 70s girl hair, which was long, straight blonde hair that went past her butt.
I can see that. I can
Oh,
see your mom rocking that.
My mom, we've got pictures of her in like her drill team uniform, and her hair is just fucking ridiculous. And then my dad just looked like fucking Chris Christopherson, all unkempt and shaggy.
That's what my dad looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That fucking AV nerd bullshit. That was my dad.
My dad was the hair combed over. You know, we had the nice part on the one side and it comes over, and the butterfly collars and the white ass. Like, yeah, he.
None of this surprises me.
No, and it shouldn't. If you know Big Marv, this should not surprise you at all.
His parents got married in 1974.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And his dad wore a powdered blue shit you not suit with the
Hell
ruffle
yeah.
thing to their wedding.
Dude, my dad wore that to prom with my mom. They fucking matched.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
His mom at her wedding dress has the big bell sleeves, and it's it's so 70s. It's beautiful.
Fucking
She
live.
looked so
I love
cute.
it.
19 when she got
That's awesome.
pretty
Yes.
70s.
Anything else we want to mention about the fashion?
Fucking graphic tees back then were everything.
Yes.
Women had a lot more choice though too. Like it was sort of, wasn't it the end? Not the end, but women's lib was happening in the 60s, and so it was, we could wear whatever we wanted to wear. Fashion just exploded for women. You could wear whatever you want, show as much skin as you want.
Well, in this decade too was really the start of like leisure wear, because that's the thing, is it wasn't, you didn't have to get as dressed to go places as you used to, and so you had a t-shirt and jeans and shorts and fucking tracksuits and leisure suits for men. Like you had a little bit more like casual options than you did in the 50s and 60s for sure.
Oh yeah, because the 60s was still a little bit of the, I mean, we started getting that split, but for the most part, it was like, all right, it's going to work. Time to put on the suit and the hat.
Unless in the 60s, if you were a wife at home, you still got dressed to go to the grocery store. Unless you were at Berkeley protesting, you still basically wore like fucking.
Time to go to the grocery store, put on the pearls.
Yeah.
Nope.
I mean, really and truly, like, I've talked to my grandparents and stuff about that, because that was around the time that, like, they were, like, my grandmother was, like, a young mom. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, you know, you'd have to put on, like, actual clothes. Like, when you watch, like, Bewitched, that's very realistic, you know? It's, well, other than the magical powers, but.
Yeah, my Nana did, because my Nana was a military wife. So for her, she always would look not like, she always got dressed up. But my granny was a farm wife, so she was mostly in hay and cow poop. So
A lot of cow
poop. So if she went out to do groceries, it was she's going to the farm co-op. Like everybody, very rural, so it wasn't a big deal if she didn't get dressed up. But my Nana she never owned a pair of socks, that woman. Always stockings.
That's what my dad's was. She worked in like a lawyer's office in Northeast Texas, and just fucking to the nines every single day. Stockings, beautiful jewelry, like the whole night. Yeah, hair always done. If there was a hat involved, that hat was on fucking point. Yes, bitch.
Ryan in the chat brings up the rainbow suspenders.
That's not actually a thing that people wore on a regular basis.
I don't know. Like, I've seen quite a few pictures. So but
fashion from the mid 90s when we were in high school.
From the 70s,
so much.
Oh, yeah.
I look at pictures. Yeah. I had the long 70s hair.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of in the middle.
Nice.
I had that.
Yeah.
I have. It was split, although it was the undercut.
It was the undercut, so that's good.
There's a little twist on it.
A little grunge.
Better than a Hail Caesar cut.
Okay, so I'm like, should we go ahead and hit like the three big ones? But I'm like, no, let's talk about some of the other small ones before we get to the big ones. Toys in the 70s. Toys is where Nerf came about, and I'm like, wow, Nerf has been around that long.
Yeah.
So, of course, back then a lot of it was, the footballs and stuff, and but that's when the Nerf blaster first started coming out. That was really cool. Stretch Armstrong, which that's been around forever. Did anyone here have a Stretch Armstrong? I never did.
I didn't, but my cousin did, and I played with it.
I don't think you did.
No, I had so many figurines I had no idea.
Magnadoodle came out at this time, which that's still a thing. Yep. Micronauts, which is basically the precursor to Transformers. And then of course, the two big things the 70s are known for toy wise, the Pet Rock, which we've already discussed this on a previous show. Stupidest ever, but that was a thing. Absolutely. And then of course, the thing that changed toys forever, Star Wars, because up to that point, why would you make toys for a movie? A movie goes into the theater, it's there for a couple of months, it's gone. Kids aren't going to buy toys without a movie. If someone moves, getting the sound back. Okay, wait a minute, there it goes. Okay. But yeah, so Star Wars toys.
What time this happens so that we can make edit notes?
I wish I could. I'm just going to have to figure it out. Or make a really long apology at the beginning of the episode. By the way, everyone, if you're listening to this on headphones...
Sorry.
Just be aware. But no, so Star Wars toys literally changed the game because that's when they figured out, oh, hey, we can make toys for movies, and that's a thing.
That's when they sold an empty box with a promise.
That's when
The empty box.
Picture forever.
That's right.
Which is still awesome. Still wish I could get a hold of one. That would have been awesome.
My parents would.
No.
So I was reading that this was like also the advent of the electronic toys, lights and all that, and also when they started really cracking down on like violence on, the type. I don't know. That seems weird to me because like you start getting weapons, but I guess like they started having more restrictions on that according to what I was reading. So
yeah, there were some restrictions, but they didn't really get heavy until later on, like till the 90s. The 90s is when it was like, all right, hey, listen, thou shalt not make a toy gun that looks like a gun.
Yeah.
So, but no, you are right, and that leads into the next topic that I wanted to bring up, which was the technology. And yes, I didn't know where to put this, whether to put it in toys or tech. I put it under tech, but that's why we got things like Simon, which is still a thing. And the Speak and Spell, which I had a Speak and Spell as a kid, and I loved that thing. I think part of it's because I loved E.T. so much, but yeah, Speak and Spell was the jam.
I didn't know what a Speak and Spell was until I saw Toy Story.
Really?
Yeah, well, because that wasn't my parents were teenagers in the 70s, so I didn't ever really grow up hearing about toys.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember watching Toy Story, I think with my dad, and asking him like why the thing was like talking like that, and he had to explain it to me that it was a Speak and Spell, and this is what you used to do, and so because I didn't know, but yeah, I thought that was funny.
I don't even know if I know what you're talking about, so Google. It's pretty funny. One up on me.
It's what, orange or reddish color? I'm horrible with colors.
Yeah, like brown.
Yeah, it's like a reddish color, and it has like yellow buttons.
Yeah, it's. I'll have to find a picture and show it to you. But anyway, yeah, and you could slowly but surely type in words into the thing, and then like press a button, and it would say it, and it said it in this very electronic voice.
And everybody always did the cuss words.
Swear words.
Yeah.
I had one that would giggle.
Really? That's awesome.
Every time you try to, because I was mature when you start knowing all these swear words and you figure out how to spell them, you're like, woohoo!
Yep.
And then it would giggle and not say it.
This was also the time that Pong came about, and this is when the Atari 2600 came out.
Yeah, I got it too.
And then the rise of the arcades. Like, this is when arcades started being a thing. And what's funny is, of course, I didn't go to arcades until, the 80s when I was a kid, but to me, the idea that, but I mean, some of those arcade cabinets have been around forever. Granted, they were much more simplistic, like Pong. Okay. To me, it didn't really get going until you got things like Space Invaders and Pac-Man. But, arcades were a thing. Like, that was a thing that people went and did. And
so, speaking of technology, pocket calculators introduced to the public in 1973.
Mm-hmm.
1977, Apple II was introduced. And in 1975, of course, Microsoft was founded.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool. Speaking of the 70s and technology, one that hit home for me was 3 Mile Island.
Oh, yeah, I bet it did.
Yeah, that changed a lot of stuff.
I'll bet.
So 3 Mile Island, there's always this really interesting story in how INPO started. So that's the International Nuclear
Protection.
I don't remember. Anyway, INPO is what it goes by. Anyway, so beginning of that was the nuclear plant over in California had a very similar issue not very long before the one that happened on 3 Mile Island. And there was a guy that was getting on a plane, heard about what happened, and because he boarded the plane as he was hearing the news, he couldn't make a phone call to tell them what was wrong. He already knew what was wrong. He knew how to fix it, but he couldn't get a hold of them on how to fix it. So when the plane finally landed, he's able to make a couple of calls, and finally they get the information, and it was one valve that was stuck open. And the indication was that it was closed in the control room. That's what caused 3 Mile Island.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that's how we got this whole industry of, okay, we need to start sharing this they call it OPEX, it's operating experience. And 3 Mile Island started that. And then Chernobyl started WANO, which is the world's authorized nuclear operators. So that was around the world that became a big thing. But yeah, that's 3 Mile Island changed my world forever because of the whole nuclear accident stuff. So
yeah, I bet it did. You brought up the Apple II. When I was in elementary school, that's what we had in the school were Apple IIes. Never forgot. I had one teacher in particular that had had some of the 5.5-inch floppies posted up on the wall that were ripped apart, and it was like, remember, when the light's on, don't eject the disc because it will rip it apart. But that was also the time of like the Commodore, the TRS-80, aka the Trash 80, and something that ended up screwing with consumers for decades to come. We had our first media format wars. This is the start of VHS versus Betamax. What's funny is I have a new partner at work, and I have this collection of stuff that I've always wanted to do a bulletin board somewhere, like in a classroom or in a lab or something, showing the progression of technology. How it keeps getting smaller and smaller. So I've got like records. I've got an 8-track, cassette, CD, and all the different formats going eventually to being like on a phone or whatever. And I have a VHS tape. It's actually for Jurassic Part 2, I believe. But I also have an unopened blank Betamax cassette. And the only reason I have that is because Lainey's grandparents still have a working Betamax player in their house.
Nope.
That's amazing.
We just got rid of a little while ago. I held on to it for quite a while.
Yeah.
But it was a Betamax Land Before Time.
Really?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, it's like this. Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
I think we got rid of it. But yeah, we had that one for quite a while.
Well, nobody has any Betamaxes except for Lainey's grandparents.
Exactly.
You're welcome.
Like I remember going to this is well before Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember going to the movie store, and it was a clear split. Like this wall on this side of the building was VHS, and this wall on the other side was Betamax. And as time went by, I noticed that the Betamax wall kept getting smaller and smaller, and the VHS kept creeping around there. And yeah,
And you can thank the porn industry.
I don't remember a time before Blockbuster, so there you go.
Okay.
Sorry.
It was an interesting time of lots of different like most of the places would have they'd have the box for the movie sitting up there, and they had like this magnetic strip that ran across the front of it, and there was like a little chip in front of it, and if the chip was there, they had the movie. It was just weird stuff, man. So, back in my day.
I know, Grandpa. It's okay.
Screw you. All right, so let's move on to the big three. Should we?
Did we mention that Sony Walkman was introduced in the 70s as well?
Oh, it was.
That'd be something good. Yeah,
I had one.
That was the beginning of the iPod.
Yeah, I'm almost 100% certain that my dad had a Walkman, because my dad was very into any kind of musical equipment he could get his hands on. He worked at not a record shop, but like a stereo shop in his town. So I'm pretty sure he had one. And just looked like a fucking Muppet walking around all tall and lanky with his shaggy hair and his fucking...
That's hilarious.
My dad had a yellow one, and with him being a cop, we got to go on jogs. And I remember a couple of times I'd be riding my bike beside him as he's jogging, and he's got the yellow. Yeah.
Because the 70s was also the start of people actually giving a shit about their health and going jogging.
My dad was a cop. He had to run.
Yeah.
They didn't want to. It was
No. Because once they got on the force, that's when their health sort of started.
Well, not only that, though, but they would have to do
it.
testing once in a while.
Yeah.
And my dad would only start running when he knew testing was coming.
Yeah, same with my dad. Yeah. What's it?
All I gotta do is for my job.
Ryan brings up the 70s was also the birth of the BMX bike. And Joker's Wild just mentions the Laserdisc. Technically, Laserdisc did premiere, I believe, in 79 is what I read. Like, it was at the very end.
That's right.
I have one. Like I said, I've managed to. The reason why I have part of this collection is because I've worked at lots of different schools that have been open for 50 plus years. And I have been there at the right time when a person who works in the library or myself that have gone in and become the new campus tech have gone through and is like, there's a lot of junk in here. I should clear some of this stuff out, and be like, wow, there's stuff in here from decades ago.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Laserdisc. I remember I thought Laserdisc was the junk back in the day. That was like
Junk.
Yeah. Show my age here. Anyway, so let's move on to the big three. Should we hit movies, TV, or music first?
Yeah, you want to run through music real quick?
Sure, let's hit music.
It's showtime.
Go, Lainey.
All right, so the 19th. First of all, if you would like a comprehensive rundown of music in the 70s, you should go check out our Decades of Dummies series over at Epic Rhythm and Brews, because we did a two-parter on the 70s, and it was fantastic. So, but the 70s saw, obviously, disco. Disco was was kind of like the boy bands of the 70s. Yeah. It's this thing that came through, caught everybody by storm, and everybody almost everybody. It was music for the masses. Everybody really liked it. Everybody not everybody, but everybody really enjoyed it. You could go out, like, even tiny little towns had like discos and shit set up, and like gymnasiums in the local high schools. It was fucking ridiculous. So you saw the rise of people like, ABBA and the Bee Gees and shit like that. And you had movies too, like Saturday Night Fever, which really helped propel that.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Then you had the other side.
Then you had the good side.
The Sex Pistols.
Fucking yeah, dude, we got punk rock in the fucking 70s with the fucking Ramones. We're so lucky. Oh my God, can you imagine life without punk rock? It would be horrible. You get a lot of like harder metal, fucking Zeppelin. Where would we be? Where would I be? Really? We got
Queen.
Started. Yeah. My parents they had very different music styles. My mom was very much into Motown and R&B and funk.
Mine too.
So I listened to a lot of the Supremes and Earth, Wind & Fire and the Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson. And then my dad, it was Van Morrison, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, Alice Cooper. He loved Iron Maiden.
Black Sabbath in there too.
Black Sabbath, big Aussie fan. He loved Black Sabbath.
And
I
my
fucking
dad,
love Black Sabbath.
yes,
This was good.
that was the only thing that he liked that I can actually admit to. He liked Genesis.
Can't leave out Queen.
Oh yeah, Queen. We
Oh,
got
I can't
again. Where would we be in this world without Freddie Mercury? I don't even want to think about it. You had like the glam rock with like Bowie and oh god, just a perfect little alien that was not meant for this world. But you know, you had a lot of that really intense rock and roll that kind of grew and evolved through the 60s and with everything happening in the 60s. And then you also got a lot of bands that were really inspired by bands from the 50s and 60s and kind of honed what they were doing. But the cool thing about the fucking 70s is that there was still so much that no one had ever heard before, which is amazing. You had a lot of folk music that came that was really big. I mean, Fleetwood Mac, just, so much good stuff. And listening to music was a little bit, you know, the radio. I feel like the radio really took off almost in the 70s, like fucking.
It started in the really with the 50s when before music died with the Holly died. Like it was, you know, you had Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, you had Ricky Vallon on the radio, and it sort of started.
Yes.
Something.
The 70s almost.
I see what you're saying, Lainey. I think this is the start of personal music. Like. This is when it was okay and the technology was there that it wasn't just like, oh, we've got the radio, we've got the one radio in the house to play in the 50s and 60s. Now it's, I have a radio that's in my room and I have these, they're huge, but I've got these big fucking headphones on and I can listen to my music.
And there's more radio stations out there. Like having an actual rock station is a much bigger thing. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just...
In the 70s?
Yes.
Pirate radio in the 70s as well,
yes,
right?
Pirate Radio. Oh my gosh. That was also a great movie.
Also fantastic. Bill Nye Rocks My World.
Fantastic movie with some really good music in there too.
Oh my god.
More late 60s, but still fucking amazing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, we got really, really lucky. In North America, we had just fucking all kinds of cool shit, man. Fucking Kiss. Well, Kiss was a thing. Ted Nugent was a thing back when Ted Nugent was so palatable. You got shit like AC/DC. Arena rock became a bigger thing. Mm-hmm. Fucking Styx and
Rush.
Too.
So for us Canadians, it was the Guess Who, Rush.
Don't even get me started on Rush.
Yeah.
Fucking hate Rush.
Some of the ones
Rush, I don't like Rush either, but they're huge in Canada.
Some of the ones I have listed here: Zeppelin, of course, Queen, Kiss, Aerosmith, the Eagles, Dylan. New Wave, the Cars, Go-Go's, B-52s. That was a new sound that was coming out at the time.
Yeah.
Ryan List, Kiss, UFO, Rush, AC/DC, Van Halen.
Boston.
Yeah.
What about R&B and soul and...
Yes, you have...
that got started in the 70s, right? Like
R&B and all that Motown kind of stuff got it started in the 60s, but it kind of got bigger, I guess. You had like Stevie Wonder and Earth, Wind, and Fire, like Chris said. And then you had... Do what?
Al Green.
Oh, God, yes. Al Green. Fuck, yes. Oh, my God.
Donna Summers.
Donna Summer, yes. Diana Ross had a huge career too. Diana Ross has never stopped.
Tina Turner. Yeah. I can Tina Turner.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
and then you had, like, the rise of... I mean, you even had fucking... Bob Dylan and like Linda Ronstadt and Lou Harris and shit, like fucking it up in the country world, you know.
Joni Mitchell? No, she was more Joni
Mitchell was more 60s. She still had a career in the 70s, but she was not quite as on the map. She is one of my personal heroes, so she wasn't quite as on the map when the 60s. When the folk, like when the Laurel Canyon folk sound of the 60s kind of died out, she kind of went back to the background. She didn't stop making music. It just wasn't as popular.
So what were you saying about how people say, oh, music today sucks and everything, but you heard something or read something that said actually music today really isn't as good as it used to be.
Yeah, no, so this guy actually broke down, I can't remember which, I'll have to find it and send him the back channel at some point. It was really interesting. So he said they did a stylistic, and they broke down all of the different types of music, and then they broke it down from the 70s and you know, that rock era and then they compared it to the 90s and the 2000s. And what they were saying is the only, like, the really popular stuff is written by a few writers now. So you have a very similar stylistic style of music. The other interesting thing that he said was, now that we're compressing everything, and now that what we do is we actually we lower the quality so that it can fit into smaller and smaller bites, you're losing a lot of that tone and a lot of that like the warmth of the music. And
Purpose.
Sorry?
Purpose, meaning, intention.
Well, you are, and you're losing a lot of that. And so they actually were able to compare the different notes, and they were able to compare the sound quality of a record and of the way that we recorded music back then, and then compare it to now, and we are losing that because it's all digital and it's all compacted. Now, the digital era is getting better in the way that they're able to get true sound waves, but again, once you compress it so it comes into an MP3 and you can play it on your iPod or your phone or whatever, it takes up so much less space, and you are losing quite a bit of that quality. So it was really interesting. I'll try and find the breakdown because I think Eugene really appreciates it.
And the way that music is consumed has changed the way too that they make it. I mean, nothing is meant to be consumed as like a whole piece of art. It's just like little singles. That's not to say that there's not artists out there that aren't trying to go against that. I can think of
there are
top of my head that are really working hard to combat that. But truly, I mean, it's a totally different thing. So also, do what, right?
Sorry, I was just going to say a couple things on the music front, newsworthy anyway. In the 70s was the Beatles broke up in 1970, April 1970.
People don't realize the Beatles only had a decade-long career. Literally, 60 to 70. That was it.
And so yeah, they called it quits. And then Elvis passed away 16th of August, 1977. So.
Yeah. I would be remiss if I did not mention Sly and the Family Stone.
Ah, yes.
Dude, if you don't know anything about Sly Stone, go fucking look it up. He's a goddamn maverick. He was doing all kinds of crazy shit in a time where he was really like pushing boundaries and has a voice that will just soothe the shit right out of you. But the Commodores, fucking Three Dog Night, Marvin Gaye, Barry White. Oh man, the Temptations. Like we had a lot of. It's like still like with R&B and funk and everything. Funk music. Just fucking George Clinton. We were so lucky. We were so lucky to get what we got out of the 70s. Music today would not nearly be what it was if it were not for so many of the artists that we had in the 70s. Really and truly. I'm a firm believer in that. And that is why it is actually my favorite era of music. And I'm sure that doesn't have anything to do with having parents that were teenagers in the 70s and used to listen to that shit. But
it has nothing to do with that.
Nothing.
So what is this is crossing over to movies a little bit, but what is your opinion of ABBA and the Mamma Mia sequel coming out?
I mean, ABBA
not based in the 70s, but the music is kind of,
that for me is just like, let's fucking reach for a fucking, whatever we can and try to make it some extra money off of this franchise. It's just ridiculous.
I agree, but I'm also kind of excited to see it.
So I'm 100% going to go see it.
Yeah, because it's a musical and it's ABBA and it's ridiculous. Well, but definitely all they're doing now is making sequels or redoing old movies.
Yeah, Mamma Mia wasn't set in the 70s.
No, the music
career, I guess, was.
Right.
The mom, so
but no, she was all this,
It's ABBA. Everybody fucking loves ABBA. You can do all kinds of shit with ABBA, so go for it. Even I love ABBA. I love ABBA for what they are. My dad always taught me that you can't have truly brilliant, amazing music if you don't have some palatable shit for people too. And there's a lot to be found in all of that. So it's okay to like that and also like something bigger and deeper. So listen to your streaming. Okay.
I was just going to say 40 years later, and, a lot of the music is not only still relevant, but, Marvel has made 2 movies where the entire soundtrack is pretty much just hey, let's go grab 70s stuff. And of course, everyone's like, oh, this is a fucking awesome song. When did this come? Wow, this is 40 years old.
Dude,
Doesn't matter.
and can
Still
we talk
awesome.
about the fact that they made an entire soundtrack out of easy listening shit from that era? Not even good stuff. Bullshit radio tracks, and people fucking ate it up. Doesn't take much. Really doesn't.
So, and then the other thing I was going to bring out movie-wise is, Jen, you brought up the Mamma Mia sequel. I was going to bring up the fact that they're doing, something that the internet really took off after was this documentary coming out this fall, Bohemian Rhapsody, because,
yeah. Documentary or is it a biopic?
Biopic.
It's a biopic. So
Different.
I'm excited.
Oh, if you're interested, by the way, let me look up. There's a name of a documentary that I'm going to recommend if you're interested, by the way, in like the production and stuff that went into the music from the 60s and 70s. I have to look it up, but I'll mention it at the end of the show.
okay. So with that, I guess we'll wrap up music and we'll hit the last two big things, which are normally known for pop culture, and that is, I guess let's start with movies.
You want to start with movies?
Yeah, let's start with movies.
Okay.
So Bond at this point is already a thing in the 60s, but Bond in the 70s is when we get, we get the switch over. We get, wow, we've got a different guy playing Bond now.
In the 70s?
Do what?
Is it Sean Connery?
Sean was in the 60s.
Sean Connery did his last one in the early 70s, and Dalton picked up after him.
Oh, that's it.
Yep. Don't be that way.
So got this, didn't we? We got the two Bond movies that were made by different companies, and they fought, and like there was a whole shit ton of that happened in the 70s with this.
Yes, that by itself is crazy. But Bond is the entire decade of the 70s, we got Bond movies. That was a consistent thing. Another thing that I was looking up was every so often we go through this era in movies where it's like, oh, hey, we found something. Let's find other things like it and make movies off of it. And I remember a while back, not too long ago, there was a big thing with disaster movies. And I didn't even think about it until I started reading this article. Yeah, that's just pulling that up back from the 70s. Now, they did a little different in the 70s because it started off with the Poseidon Adventure. Have any of y'all seen the Poseidon Adventure?
No, but I've been on the attraction at Universal Studios.
A long time ago, I saw it, and then they remade it, right? Recently.
Yeah, and then, Poseidon Adventure did really well. Now, granted, when I say really well, I mean it made a lot of money, but it wasn't like this is still before the blockbuster came about. And so they did the Towering Inferno. Have any of y'all seen that?
Yeah,
I've seen bits and pieces of it. And then they did Earthquake. So at this point, it's like, how can we make it bigger and bigger and bigger? And of course, the problem with that is the money has to become exponentially bigger. But yeah, so like disaster movies, there was a whole run of disaster movies back in the 70s. And then of course, late 90s, we did that again. We had earthquakes and volcanoes and tornadoes and freaking anything you can think of,
Ice Age.
God damn it.
That was a bit of a disaster movie. I didn't.
God damn
anyway.
it, Ray.
And then we got some really big movies that came out that have, changed everything. The Godfather.
Yep.
The Godfather.
Changed cinema.
My world changed when I saw that for the first time. And fun fact, I actually watched that movie for the very first time with Eugene.
What's interesting, and I've heard this multiple ways. I have heard that the modern idea of a gangster not only started with that movie, but it was so influential. Like actual gangsters were like, "Oh, this is how we're supposed to be," and literally took it to heart. Taxi Driver.
Yep.
Fucked up people. This is a time of experimental cinema. Like used to science fiction movies were like, let's film giant bugs in front of a miniature thing and make it look like it's, that's the type of, and then it was musicals. And in the 70s, all of a sudden we're like, hey, maybe we should put a story in here. What kind of story should we do? Let's just throw up the most fucked up thing we can think of. And Rocky.
Clockwork Orange is one that really tested the boundaries.
Which one?
Clockwork Orange.
Oh my, yes.
Oh yeah,
Stanley Kubrick.
that was on my list.
Like Stanley Kubrick in general was like, I mean, that's the 70s right there. Also, I'm not a fan of The Clockwork Orange because the original book.
I've never seen it.
Anthony Burgess has said multiple times that he is not, who's the author of the book, has said multiple times that he is not a fan of Kubrick's adaptation because he does not use the actual original book. He uses the American adaptation, which takes out a whole chapter, etc., etc. So,
most people don't like Kubrick's interpretations. That includes Stephen King. Yeah.
Speaking of weird fucking movies that came out in the 70s, Rocky Horror Picture Show.
y'all.
Yes.
So me and the kids watched that the other day.
Really?
Weird.
How'd it fly?
Not good.
I don't remember Okay, apparently all I remembered was the time
Let your kids watch that?
Papa did.
Work,
They're
Chris.
12 and 10.
I was
And
at work.
He was at work. Couldn't stop me. And so I did.
Okay.
All I remembered was the time warp. I'm like, oh, it's just this weird, goofy movie. And then the more I got into it, I'm like, I'm a horrible parent. I'm awful. But now we have to watch the end of it. I can't.
Logan's 12. She asked to watch it.
She asked to watch it. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. No.
But the ending really doesn't give you any closure anyways, because there's no fucking point to the whole movie.
No.
And it blows my mind that it still has such a cult following.
Yeah.
It blows my mind too.
I was in the Shadowcast, okay, at a local theater for it, and I still don't get it. Like,
No.
I did it because it was fun and it was music, but
Yeah.
I've never understood the obsession with that movie.
No, I loved Tim Curry, and I kept telling the kids, I'm like, it's Hexes from Fern Gully. Remember that guy from Home Alone?
Yeah.
That's Tim.
Just show them Muppet Treasure Island and be done with it. It's fine.
But isn't that the longest running movie in theaters, like, ever? I think I heard that somewhere. Like, it's still in theaters, and it
I
never
wouldn't doubt
stopped
it, yes.
going.
Yeah.
Like, it never had a break. It's constantly been in a theater somewhere.
Kind of going along with Rocky Horror. Not really, but kind of. It's easy enough that I can slip this in. No, I'm actually going to skip Rocky and bring up what Ryan brought up in the chat room. The 70s was also the time when porn became like mainstream. Like,
Yeah, wasn't that?
there were porns that like they were reporting about it on the news, and like it became a. You know what?
Debbie
Maybe it's
Does
okay to
Dallas.
actually go watch this
Yeah,
stuff.
Debbie Does Dallas. What's the big one that
Deep
everyone?
Throat?
Deep Throat? Yeah. Yeah.
Debbie Does Dallas.
People went and saw that in their local theaters.
Exactly. That's when this became a thing.
They're
Well, yeah,
really good
I was
documentary
gonna
about that.
We got onto Deep Throat. Yeah, that was the beginning of porn mainstream.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But back what I was saying, Rocky, for example, like, I mean, we're getting a second. Now, I still have not seen Creed, and I understand Creed is a great movie, but we're getting a sequel to a movie that originally came out in 1970, technically. And yes, the other sequels of Rocky are over the top and goofy and everything else, but that first movie is there because and what's funny is that scene where he does that heartfelt, he just lays it out there where what he won an award for. They originally wanted to cut it. They were like, no, we don't have enough time for it. He's like, give me one shot. Give me one shot. And he lays it out there, and they're like, all right, we'll keep it for the movie. And it turned out to be one of the best fucking scenes he's ever done in his life. But this was also the rise of the slasher movie. We got
Halloween.
Can you imagine? It is the year 2018, and some of the best horror movies ever made came out in the 70s. The Exorcist, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Can I say, I fucking hate horror movies. I really do. I don't
Me
like
too.
horror movies. I love some of these ones that came out of the 70s. I've seen The Exorcist quite a few times, and I loved it. It scares the shit out of me, but I love it.
I can't watch it.
Also,
I just
go
watch
and look up some of the stuff that they do in that movie to make it scarier. It's fucking crazy.
Mhm.
But like Carrie's a great movie.
Yep.
Amityville Horror.
Amityville
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so many great. Halloween came out in the 70s. Like, there's a ton of really good slasher movies. So that was like the thing. It's like slasher movies would come out. You take your date to the drive-in.
Yep.
It was a thing. Or so my parents told me.
You do the old.
So, oh, it's okay. Don't be scared.
Slide your arm down.
That being said, my parents always tell me about the movie that they saw on their first date, which was American Graffiti.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And that
Cool.
movie almost didn't happen. Like,
Oh yeah.
we learned in the Star Wars book, like George Lucas had to really fight for that thing to ever see the light of day, and then it was a
I'm glad he
huge
did.
hit.
It's a really good movie.
And then like he said, his baby was held hostage for years by different
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
This was also I'm sorry, go on.
We go for it because I missed a little bit there. Which ones did you cover off?
We did the animated.
What, horror movies?
So we covered just before horror movies. What were you talking?
I brought Rocky, and then I brought up the horror movies.
Okay.
Then we said American Graffiti after.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of.
And then
Alien.
this is
too. Alien. Great
Yeah.
horror movie.
Yeah.
this
That
is
came out
also
with
the birth of the blockbuster. This is the first time, and we'll also learn this in the Star Wars book. This is the first time that theaters started an active policy of getting people out of the theater after the movie stopped, because up to this point they were like, "You want to sit in here again? Yeah, sure, whatever. Who cares?" And Star Wars is what caused them to go, "Nope, everyone's got to get out. Got to go buy another ticket." Did it
not start with Jaws a little bit?
It did start a little bit with Jaws. They listed 5 big movies, and I didn't write them all down. I missed one of them. They listed 5 big movies that really started off blockbusters. Jaws, Star Wars is pretty much what cemented it. In fact, that's where we got the term blockbuster from. Close Encounters also was a huge thing. It's been forever since I've seen Close Encounters. I need to go back and watch it again.
So do I.
Alien.
Yeah.
And then a movie that I still love to this day, and of course looks cheesy as hell. No, Superman.
Oh yeah.
Christopher Reeve as Superman is still Superman to me. Like when I think a flesh and blood Superman, I still picture Christopher Reeve.
Even I picture Christopher Reeve, and I didn't even know him as, like, he wasn't even Superman when I was a kid.
Yeah.
He's just a very bad horse rider.
Yes.
Oh, really? You had to go there, Jay.
Got to strap that helmet on.
But
I think a
also,
helmet
Grease
would've
is
worked.
a great movie, so can we go back to that real quick? 'Cause
What?
Grease. Who said
Never
Grease?
watched it.
Like, the musicals that came out, Cabaret came out back then. Like, there was a ton of great musicals that came out in the 70s.
Willy Wonka.
I'm shocked that nobody has mentioned Mel Brooks movies.
Or Monty Python and the
Oh.
Holy Grail.
Or
I was
Monty
gonna
Python.
say
My whole comedic, like, the whole origin of my comedic
Monty
knowledge came from 70s movies. My
Young
dad
Frankenstein.
used to watch all of that stuff when I was way too young to watch it. I saw Monty Python and the Holy Grail at like 5 years old. That's not allowed.
Yeah, but a lot of that goes over your head.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
A lot of
Yeah.
But I look at it now and I'm like, I would absolutely not. I would
have
never.
thoughts in your general direction.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God.
Anybody
My
can
boys would
appreciate
catch that one.
even a
I was going to say,
5-year-old.
my boys would catch that one and love that one.
I loved it as a kid. We had like Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles. I mean, we had Gene Wilder in the
Yes.
70s. And
Yes.
Wow.
I love Willy Wonka. That's another one that came out in the 70s.
Mhm.
Oh, God.
It's funny. I just saw someone do another post, and I think I'd seen this before, where they compare the boat ride in Willy Wonka is literally describing the 7 layers of hell.
Yeah.
I'm just
It is.
like, yeah, I've heard this before, but let me go ahead and reread this article
Yeah.
because. So.
I love that.
Did we mention Mad Max?
No,
No.
we did not.
79, I think. And of course,
I
Jaws.
when that
And Eugene, I'm surprised you missed this one, Dawn of the Dead.
yeah.
No, Dawn of the Dead was the 60s.
He remade it in 78, I believe.
He
second
he
one.
did remake it, but yeah, the original. See, for me, no, I'm sorry. You're right. Dawn of the Dead was then. I'm thinking Night of the Living Dead was late 60s.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
70s is when he started going with the sequels.
Yeah.
So yeah, good catch, Jay.
We got a lot of Jack Nicholson in the 70s.
I'm a little surprised Lainey didn't bring these ones up. Because I went through the dark history that is Disney during that time. You know what?
Disney was having a rough go of it in the 70s and the 80s, okay?
Only 3 that I really would like to mention, and that's Robin Hood, because who didn't watch that one as a kid?
I didn't.
Aristocats, and Pete's Dragon. Those are the only 3 that I
three great films that really went overlooked because that was post Walt's death. And his son-in-law was in charge of the company and was just kind of doggy paddling and letting everybody kind of tell him what to do. So they weren't really a powerhouse of like content at that point.
Shit.
Yeah, it's bad. It was real bad. And I mean, they still had the Sherman Brothers for a little while, but even that, I mean, great. There's some great music and stuff too that comes out of those Disney 70s films, but Disney World did open in the 70s, but like even then they weren't really putting in those IPs in the park.
That's on my list. I'm going to bring that one up.
Okay, cool. We can talk about that.
What about Smokey and the Bandit?
Oh, those crazy ass, like I guess you'd call it. They're not adventure movies. They're travel movies, I guess to say. Chase movies maybe. Joker's Wild brings up Bruce Lee movies. Hell yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we got some good Bruce Lee stuff.
Well, that and there's a lot of like Death Wish and Magnum Force. I mean, some really good revenge movies from.
Yes.
See, I was going to bring up Bruce Lee as well because he passed away in July of '73. So.
On a movie set, right?
No, that was his son.
Oh.
Yeah.
20 years later, his son died on the Crow.
That's right.
Yeah. Bruce fell ill during the Dragon, Enter the Dragon, and just slipped into a coma and he died a couple months later. That was one of his biggest ones.
But 30. Him and his son were the same age when they passed away. They were both 33.
That's right. That's like the weird thing.
It's a weird thing that they both. How they died and under mysterious.
There was some weird coincidence.
That's saying.
The original Longest Yard.
Yeah, the original Longest Yard, and then obviously fucking Saturday Night Fever, which is what everybody thinks of when they think of the 70s.
Yeah, pretty much.
Charlotte's Web.
Oh yeah, the
I
animated
freaking
Charlotte's Web.
love Charlotte's Web.
Not Charlotte's Web. I meant Saturday Night Fever. Charlotte's Web is the one I should cry.
I will never forget the first time I saw Saturday Night Fever. I was weirdly underwhelmed.
Yeah, I think I was like 17 or 18 when I watched it.
Did Urban Cowboy? No, that was the 80s.
Urban Cowboy, I think, was the 60s.
Urban Cowboy was like 70s, late 70s, early 80s, because that's when Gillies was open in Houston. That's when the oil boom was big.
There's a magical thing called Google.
But wasn't Urban Cowboy?
I'm looking, but my computer is really slow. So.
That's one
1980.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
I was gonna say
That splits the difference.
there's a big difference, but yeah, I was gonna say because Gillies was a real place, it's a real thing.
So
any other
can
movies?
we talk about Star Wars now, or
Yeah, I guess so.
The whole episode
That
and
came out in
not
the
talk about
70s?
Star Wars.
that happened? Is that a thing?
Episode 1 came out in the '70s.
Yeah.
I
Episode
really
1.
pissed at myself actually. Jen and I were at a trivia night, and they were asking a question about when Jaws came out. And I know my shit. All right, I fucking know my shit, man. And for whatever reason, I was like, is it 75 or 77? And I hedged and I wrote 77, and I'll never be not pissed off at myself for that. I fucking mixed them up. God.
Okay. I heard some guys talking about Jaws at work the other day, and it was a 30-some-odd-year-old talking to a millennial. And what, you mean Sharknado?
Oh God.
God.
Did you punch him in the throat?
Midnight Cowboy.
Jaws. Even I know the fucking difference.
Wow.
I was thinking about Midnight Cowboy, not Urban Cowboy.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
60s girl?
That was 69. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, so this little movie called Star Wars premiered in 1970s and changed the world forever.
Made our girl a star.
Yeah.
Stephen Colbert, I watched it 2 weeks early.
You what?
Stephen Colbert got to watch it 2 weeks
Oh
early.
yeah.
Yeah, what a fucking dick.
I've been a fan 2 weeks longer than all of you.
One of my favorite tropes in that 70s show is how often Eric Foreman like compares himself to fucking like Luke Skywalker. But my dad was telling me, he's like, no, that was like a real thing. He was like, every fucking nerdy kid you knew like wanted to be Luke Skywalker.
How could you?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I would have loved to have been there when it started, but then I kind of wouldn't have loved to have been there because the craziness.
No, I just want to show up that night. Like, I just want to show up, buy a ticket, watch the movie, walk out, just see how everyone reacts, and then come back now.
Well, you know, if you're a time traveling wizard, you can do that.
Well, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
You finished that big black staff.
Oh, Ryan brings up Planet of the Apes. How could we freaking forget Planet of the Apes?
Dr. Zaius.
Yeah. Because
Man.
all the sequels that happened. That's why I love Marshall Geeky when we were when we're listening to them and they introduce all the bring up the little movie called Planet of the Apes. Which
Well, if
one?
you've heard of it.
Yeah. The sequel, the sequel to the sequel, the sequel to the sequel, the reboot, the remake, the sequel to the remake.
Prequel.
Yes.
Fucking A. That's another classic film I've never seen. I've never seen Planet of the Apes.
You're not.
Seen a bit of the first one. And
I mean, obviously,
Mark one.
obviously, you know the twist at the end.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Lainey, you do know the twist at the end, right?
obviously.
No one say shit to Lainey. No one to say shit to Lainey. Lainey, watch the movie.
Oh man, go watch it.
I was gonna say, if you know the twist, obviously, there's probably just watch the
Seen Spaceballs.
Many times. You
Yeah.
know what? Watch
I've seen
Space
Spaceballs.
instead.
I've seen Spaceballs.
So
I love Spaceballs.
seen that.
Oh, did Airplane come out in the 70s? Was that the 70s?
Yes.
Leslie Nielsen, who's Canadian.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Airport came out in the 70s. I don't remember if Airplane did.
Airplane was
Probably-
It might have been
this year.
Because I think the airport movies came out. That was part of that whole disaster movie
Yeah.
thing they had going on. And I think,
1980.
80.
yeah, because
Everything happened in
Airplane came
1980.
out to riff on Airport.
Well, the reason I asked is because it's that late 70s, early 80s fashion. It blends together. Everything looks the same.
God, that movie is so fucking funny.
I watched it for the first time this year and was kind of,
I think it's more nostalgia. I love when June Cleaver talks drive. Like that.
yes, that was funny as shit.
Surely you can't be serious.
Yeah. Don't call me Shirley.
I think, I don't know. I think being raised on like Mel Brooks and stuff, I was just like, yeah, I don't know.
All right. Is there anything else anyone wanted to mention movie wise?
Movie wise, I'm good.
All right.
Star Wars, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
One of the movies that was brought up in this was I didn't bring it up because it actually perfectly leads into television, which is the Star Trek movie also came out. Which what can I say about the Star Trek movie?
Not much.
was a
Clearly
movie.
not a lot.
Not a lot. Can't.
What?
The Star Trek movies are very simple. You watch 2, you watch 4, and you watch 6, and you're good.
Yep.
From the original, yeah.
Wrath of Khan, The Voyage Home,
Yes.
the final Undiscovered Country. Those are the 3 that you.
I don't know if Sean's watching or if he's on the thing right now, but he'll tell you where to go if you say that to him out loud. But
Surely, okay. Final Frontier was interesting.
I'm sure he's good. He's got a story, but
The Search for Spock was okay, but that first movie was horrible.
I don't know how he did it, but he got through all the movies last year.
Wow.
All the old ones are fucking horrible.
No, they're not. Screw
Yeah.
you.
They all are fucking terrible.
No, like I said, 2, 4, and 6 are great movies. But that leads us to television. So, the 70s was the death of rural shows. So this was the end of things like Hee Haw and Green Acres, and we're moving away from TV shows where it's more of a rural setting, and we start getting shows, and it talked about, now of course this is not my opinion, this is all stuff that I've read because research. We start getting the rise of social conscience stuff, and one of the first ones that they mentioned was Maude, because she's a big mouth broad that's not afraid to tell you what she thinks, and the fact that she was Archie Bunker's sister-in-law, I think is the lineage on that. It was interesting. The other thing, one of the other ones that we got out of that was also very social conscious was the Jeffersons. Also, oddly enough, a spinoff of All in the Family. And then we had like things like One Day at a Time, where even though it's a sitcom, this is when we start bringing in like real world stuff, like a little bit of politics starts coming in, a little bit of what's going on, with day to day life. Yeah. We also had the decline of the Western, so things like Bonanza, Little House on the Prairie, those started fading off, and we started getting, and as much as some of these shows are really good, I and there are still some really good ones out there today. It's just they've become so. Why do we still have why does it seem like every show on NBC, ABC, CBS, so on and so forth is either a crime or a medical drama? Why? It seems like every single show. But this is when this started.
Great, Eugene.
Do what?
Because true crime is great, Eugene.
No, not true crime.
I know.
Crime. But this is when we got we had things like Emergency, and then of course one of Jay's favorite show, MASH.
I fucking love MASH.
MASH is a great show. MASH holds up today.
Yes, MASH is still funny.
Yeah.
I'll still watch MASH anytime that I see that it's on.
Yeah.
Hawaii Five-0, which of course just got remade. Chips.
Fucking Love Boat.
Yep. Freaking Chips.
$6 million.
Sesame Street got big in the 70s. The Muppet Show. You
Yeah.
guys. Hell yeah.
Um,
Go back and watch some of those old episodes, by the way, because some of the guest stars are just
Oh, I know. And the hecklers.
Yeah.
That they
Statler and Waldorf. Fantastic.
Yes.
There's a really good episode where Peter Sellers is the guest host. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. It makes me happy every time I watch it. I love it.
One of my favorite actors got his break, Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy.
Oh yeah,
So
I have
Three's
that.
Company.
Saturday Night Live started in '75.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, we got
Like
SNL
October
one.
75.
Yeah.
SNL started.
So the 70s is kind of when they started showing movies on TV too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's when it became a big thing to watch, because before that you wouldn't watch TV to see a movie.
No.
Exactly. Yeah. Of course, at that point, it was like really low budget stuff mostly, but yeah, you started getting that Saturday matinee thing on TV.
Every now and then, though, they'd show something big. Like, my mom has told me she remembers seeing, like, Roots, like, on network television. Like, that was a big... Or I guess, though, that was, was a mini-series, right?
That was a
Yeah.
miniseries, yeah.
They started doing stuff like that, though. My favorite 70s show, that truly started in the 70s, is Charlie's Angels. Because that was on constant syndication when I was a kid. Growing up, so I would get up in the morning, and my parents would have left for work during the summer, and I would turn on TV, and it would be fucking Charlie's Angels, and I loved it.
I was about to bring that one up. Yeah.
Starsky and Hutch was brought up in the chat, and then one of the other one that Ryan brought up is this is also when we started getting some decent sci-fi TV shows. Battlestar Galactica, which I mean, the original was, the first season was not bad, and then of course they basically had no budget for the next one, so it is what it is. Wonder Woman, The Incredible Hulk, The $6 Million Man, The Bionic Woman,
Partridge Family. Those aren't sci-fi. I'm just naming 70 shows that I know.
and then something else.
Brady Bunch.
Then something else that I didn't even realize. The 70s was the golden years, the true rise of the game show.
Yes.
Fucking The Price is Right.
And fucking Big Bucks, No Whammies and shit.
Pyramid, Password. These are shows that are remade and still on today. That honestly, the remake of some of these shows are so often I'll see them on and I'm like, this format still works. This is still a funny ass format.
Do you know how badly I want to be on Pyramid in the 70s?
Oh my god, yeah.
How badly I want that.
Wasn't Newlyweds also in the 70s?
Oh yes.
That's a great one.
Dick DiBartolo. Okay, so I used to listen to this podcast. Dick DiBartolo is one of the original. Well, not one of the original. He came on shortly after it started, but he's one of the longest running writers for Mad Magazine. He was the writer for the questions for Newlywed Game, and they were basically told, "Hey, listen, we're not getting renewed. We've only got 3 episodes left." And he's like, well, can we start putting questions in there that are a little more racy, you know, a little more, you know, hey, let's kind of have, you know, hint about sex and stuff like that. And they're like, sure, why not? We're getting canceled anyway. Those 3 episodes basically caused that series to go on for like a decade.
There was 2, right? There was the Newlywed Game and there was the Dating Game.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
There was a serial killer that was on the Dating Game and one.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Really?
Ronnie Alcala. Look him up. It's fucking creepy as shit. He gets asked this really weird question about, like, if you were a food, what kind of food would you be and how would you be served to me? And he's like, a banana, peeled. Fucking right there. She should have known. Yeah.
Nope.
Ronnie Alcala, go check him out. Fucking creeper status, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful ladies.
Anyway.
But yeah, like, I mean, as cheesy as some of this, you know, especially going back and you know, so when Lainey's grandparents come to visit, they put on the other channels that come along that are broadcast along with the big channels, My TV.
Sometimes it's great. Sometimes they're showing episodes of Bewitched, and I will sit down and watch for hours.
True. Sometimes they're showing, but most of the time it's back to back to back episodes of something or another, and I'm just like, oh God, please kill me now.
Oh, Mary Tyler Moore and Rhoda. Those are great 70s shows. Laverne and Shirley. I like that shit too.
Yep.
Hans and Pfeffer Incorporated.
There were a lot more like strong female characters and also like addressing bigotry and racism and all that stuff in the 70s. You know, it started becoming.
Shatner kissed the first interracial kiss on TV.
Yep.
Yes.
Was in the 60s.
Pretty
What
sure
show was that?
I don't think it happened till the 70s. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
No, it's just because the show only ran for the original only ran for 2 years,
Yeah, I'm
didn't
pretty
it?
sure it was 70s when that one aired, though.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Scandalous.
Ooh, and Sanford and Son. That's a personal favorite.
Yeah, I never watched very many of these shows.
What was the one with Mackenzie Phillips and Valerie Bertinelli? What was that show?
Kenzie Phillips and Valerie Bertinelli. Fucking A, I don't remember.
But that was the first mom that was actually divorced. She wasn't a widow. She wasn't. She was the first mom that was divorced.
Technically, the original series was 66 to 69, so it was technically the 60s.
All right.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was a 1968 episode. Just
Anyway.
All kinds of crazy crap going on, man.
Oh, they banned cigarette ads in the 70s. I read that was the thing that
Marlboro Man.
that people started complaining about stuff like that, and they finally said no more.
Someone please think of the children.
What's funny is the Alamo Drafthouse doesn't do it as much anymore since they've gotten really kind of big time, but they used to play just random stuff in front of their movies. And one of the first movies I ever saw at the Drafthouse was a movie called Thank You for Smoking. And some of the stuff that they were playing beforehand was those black and white commercials of, you know, and I'll never forget sitting there watching it next to Christy, and I'm just like, wow, I'm really watching Fred Flintstone relaxing, watching Wilma cut the grass, and looking at Barney saying, hey, you want a Marlboro? And talking about how smooth it is. And I'm just like, wow, this is really a thing that I'm watching right now.
Yeah.
That's what they were like, man. It's crazy.
3 times Bugs Bunny pulls out cigarettes and starts smoking.
Cigars,
Oh, yeah.
all that.
Wasn't Joe Camel designed to appeal to children?
I think so.
Yeah.
Sanford and Son, that was another good show.
I have a Canadian question. Did all that anti-drug stuff, pulling cigarette ads, did it have anything to do with the Carter administration? Like, I know Betty Ford was big on say no to drugs.
I would assume so.
I would assume so too.
I would assume so as well because, like I started off in 1970, 71. That's when they approached Stan Lee, right? The government approached Stan Lee to say.
Was Nixon still? I don't know.
But LBJ was the war on drugs and like the one that really went after it, right?
Yeah, that was
he
still
started it. Yeah, so I think that
is that Lyndon Johnson?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lyndon Johnson, and then that went into Nixon.
Okay. I don't know timelines.
I know stuff. Look at me.
I don't know anything. I just know that you have some.
And I'm the youngest. I'm the baby.
Yeah, we have
I'm a
we have some
history
we have
major.
some interesting folks.
You
That's
have-
all.
Well, I was always fascinated by like 60s, 70s stuff too. So like in high school, well, I mean, every paper I could possibly make about that era, I made about that era. So
No.
I know.
So, fun
Haley,
fact.
When were your parents born?
Do what?
When were your parents born?
My parents were born in the late 50s. So my parents were both like teenagers in the 70s. My mom graduated in the bicentennial.
Okay.
Yeah. So my mom and dad were like I always tell people, dazed and confused, like my parents lived that. Like that was 100% their era. Like,
My dad was born in 58. My mom was born in 61. So.
yeah. So your parents are around the same age as mine. Yeah, exactly. So no, my mom and dad, like hardcore, that was their shit. So they've always been very honest with me about what it was like growing up back then.
My
So
mom told me the pot plant she grew in her boarding.
yeah, see, there you go. My mom was a little straight A angel. That was more my dad's style.
There's a reason.
Dad was doing all kinds of dumb shit around Northeast.
My mom was the dumb shit. My dad went to police college.
However, my father did get the delightful pleasure of getting to experience Austin in the 70s and early 80s.
Oh wow.
I am so envious of him for that because he used to tell me about what it was. God, it was fucking awesome.
I don't even know back. Yeah, I can't even imagine Austin in the 70s. That's
No, my dad loved it. He used to tell
you
me
just
about
blew my mind.
like cosmic cowboy shows and shit like that. Like my dad saw all kinds of artists back then that like before they got huge. It was really fucking cool.
My dad
all
was
kinds of cool shit.
back then, and all the up and coming rock stars he would go and see, and that was what he spent his time doing.
True. That was my dad. Hello.
Hello, Molly. Well, does anyone have anything else they want to add about our discussion to about the 70s before we wrap up? What you got for us?
Right.
Oh,
So
there you go.
I went through some of the news stuff, like
Okay.
and I tried to only pull some of the positive stuff, and
I have to
tried
talk about Watergate and Ford pardon.
Well, so yeah, Watergate was on there, right? So, but so trying to, but also what also influenced some of the stuff that I love now, right? So, the first one was Son of Sam was arrested.
Yes.
10th of
Oh my
August.
God, it's another great story. Go check that out. Google it.
It's an amazing story. Terrible time, but amazing. Story.
Horrible, but holy shit, it's crazy.
So I focused on the time that he was arrested. We already mentioned Disney World opened 1971.
71.
Yeah, a ticket price for admission was $3.50.
How much?
$3.
$3.50.
But you had to go into the park and buy a ticket book. Keep that in mind.
Okay, and that's fair.
For each ride?
I didn't what the dollar would be worth now, what the value is worth now.
Okay.
Back then is equivalent to $21.68.
Yeah,
Yeah.
girl, they still charging you more than that.
105 on average for a person.
For
right
10
now.
and up.
Yeah, for 10 and up for the Magic Kingdom for one day.
That's all 4 of us now.
And those prices go up every year. Thanks, Bob Iger.
Thanks, Marvel. So the other one was, and this one's not, this one won't be as relevant for you guys, but the Flying Bobby Orr picture. So there's the Flying Bobby picture. It's a very iconic picture where Bobby Orr is flying through the air, and he just scored the game-winning goal, and he had to jump over this other guy, and so he's celebrating midair. He looks like Superman. And so he's celebrating midair, and it's an iconic picture. Anytime you talk hockey, that's one that comes up. Bobby Orr is one of the greatest players to ever play, and so yeah, he scored that goal on the 10th of May in 1970.
Oh, that is a cool picture.
Yeah, so that was the game. That was the series winning. They won the championship with that goal, which
Was it the
is
Stanley Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they won the Stanley Cup with that?
yeah, it was insane. That was so that was pretty cool. And then the only other thing that I want to mention was one of my favorite movies was actually made based on an event that happened in the 70s. It was actually 17th of April 1970. The Apollo 13 returned to Earth, and
Yes.
so I thought that was pretty cool to kick off that day.
You love
Mm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Love them, love it. The determination to get those 3 guys home, right? And
It's
and the
incredible.
the innovation that they had to do. Like, it's just, yeah, pretty crazy.
That's a great movie.
Yes, it is.
There, that's what I love.
Ryan brings up space shuttle program started, gas shortage, and the start of low emissions and economic cars.
So I'm seeing a theme here. Everything that's kind of popular there is happening now. Where do we gas?
You know what they say? History does this thing.
Yeah.
Where it never comes back around and does the same thing again. Yeah, I know, right?
Yet we still don't learn from the past.
We don't learn
Keep
shit,
repeating the
man.
same fucking mistakes.
Same fucking thing over and
Go
over again.
figure.
Damn it.
Yeah.
So-
Joker's Wild brought up the
Please.
Lamborghini Countach 1974. Yeah, that's
My
an iconic
parents were
car.
fucking poor in Northeast Texas. We'd know shit about that, so I don't know.
When did the Sierra come out? Was that an 80s car? I felt like that was an 80s.
It had to have been an 80s car.
Didn't the Pinto come out in the 70s? Ford Pinto? Or was that a 60s car?
No, it might have been the 70s. That rings, yeah.
That would make sense. It came out in the 70s.
1971.
Yeah, they're doing
Yeah, that's the one that kept blowing up.
Yep.
You can't run. That was the safest car to drive because if you did get rear-ended, you'd die. So
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys, Elvis Presley.
Yeah, Ray said that. Yeah.
Did you say that? Did I miss that?
Yeah. Elvis Presley died.
I missed that.
yeah.
We lost a lot of 60s artists in the 70s, though. I mean, Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin and all that. I mean,
Are we really surprised by that though? Like, what was
no, absolutely not. It's just interesting that so much of that happened. You know, I mean, that's
Like a house one. Too. And
Oh.
did Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison, they died in the 70s? Because they were only 28.
they were only 27. Everybody's fucking 27.
Alma Cass, did she die in the 70s?
Mama Cass did die in the 70s.
Alma Cass, Janis Joplin.
Oh, The Exorcist. Did we mention The Exorcist too? No, just-
The AMC Gremlin came out in 1970.
Gremlin.
Look it up. It is it's a car.
It's a car.
Barely. It's barely a car, but it's technically a car. What's funny is I remember in middle school, now we're talking about the 80s. There was a substitute teacher. She drove a Gremlin.
Mhm.
And what was funny was we were on the bus, and the bus, kind of shook like this because, it was a bus. And she was vibrating more in the car than we were. And we're just like, oh, wow, that's scary. So
I had a friend who had I don't know what it was called, what brand it was, but it was a Sirocco. And it was the shit. You couldn't, it had a back seat, but you couldn't sit straight up because of the way that the rear view window was set. So you were sitting like this, all hunched over. And you're like, this can't be safe. And it was brown. The interior was brown. It was just this squatty interior. You couldn't sit straight up. It was a terrible bed.
The AMC Pacer, 1976. That's the Mirthmobile.
Yep.
My God, the Mirthmobile. Go home, Ray.
Yep. That the Pacer is another way. So I know a lot of people here probably have not seen Cars 2. You're lucky if you haven't, or you're lucky if you have. There's a whole thing in there about lemon cars, and the Pacer, the Gremlin. A lot of these vehicles we just referenced are the bad guys because they're all lemons.
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking developed
Oh,
a couple big theories in the 70s as well.
Yes.
Where did it go? I don't know. Big Bang,
Yeah.
existence of black holes.
Wow, that was in 70s? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Him and Stephen Hawking and one of his colleagues had a bet about a black hole, and it took them until 1990 to actually have enough
yeah.
to prove that it was a black hole.
But the bet was
a
year
year
subscription to Penthouse,
or 4 years.
4
to
years to this
political
political magazine.
That's awesome.
So the guy, so Hawking lost,
Yeah.
which was good. And so what he did was he had to send the Penthouse to his friend, that he put the bet up against.
But
But he did the UK,
UK
version,
version.
which was even raunchier than the
US
US version.
That is awesome.
yeah. We're watching this thing on Einstein today. so
Yeah,
that was-
Nova did a documentary about Einstein, and so Quinn and I got watching that one today. It was new on Netflix.
Cool. Oh yeah, and then Ryan mentions this little thing called Vietnam ended.
Oh,
Well,
Oh,
Yeah, well, like I
okay.
said, I tried to stick on the positive notes because
That thing.
seriously.
Said it was part of it.
Well, technically, it ending is a positive thing.
yeah,
Anyway,
there was no winner or loser there. It was just
No, it was
Just crap.
a lot of people lost lives for
No reason.
reasons. So yeah.
Yep. Hey, look, we didn't get
and we
anywhere.
didn't
Yay.
do that ever again.
Yeah, no joke, right? Well, let's call this the episode. Let's go ahead and move on to our picks and pans. Would anyone like to go first?
I'm
Yes.
gonna go first because I need to throw something in there.
Go ahead.
Oh. Okay.
Well, because I said I would mention that documentary
Okay.
or that docuseries. So if you're interested in, which you should be, if you are a music fan in general, if you are interested in learning a little bit about the production and everything that went into recording in like the 50s through today, they focus a lot on like the 50s through the 70s because it was so incredible. There is a docuseries, I believe it is still on Hulu. It is called Soundbreaking. I think I've talked about it on Epic Rhythm and Brews before. It is so good. Really, really incredible. Gives you a lot of really cool insight into how some of your favorite records were made. I really enjoyed it. I've watched it multiple times actually because I enjoyed it so much. Just really, really cool. So check that out. And my pick is so my pick is actually a musical one as well. Which, funnily enough, we've been talking about rock music, and this is not a rock choice. But Mac Miller, who is a rapper, has been coming out with a lot of new material. He released like 3 songs at the beginning of the summer, and I really, really enjoyed all of them. He released a new single off of his newer album and a little preview. And holy shit, I think this is the album that I've been needing. It is so good. He released a song called Self Care. It's really fucking good. If you're into rap at all, go check it out. I was not into Mac Miller before I met my friend Matt, and my friend Matt really got me into it. He's actually really talented. Go check him out. Kind of knows what he's fucking doing. And recently he had a horrible breakup with Ariana Grande, which I don't think he realizes it now, but it's going to be for the better. It's going to be okay, Mac. So, but it's fueling some really cool shit with his music. And so this new album is going to be called Sleeping, and I'm really excited about it. But yeah, go check out the single off of that. It's super good. Again, it's called Self Care, and I have been listening to it on repeat for like 3 days.
Alrighty. Ray, what's your pick and/or pan?
So mine's musical as well, and some of it was influenced by the 70s. Watching Under Pressure was sung again by somebody that did an amazing version of it. Anyway, so Foo Fighters. We went to the Foo Fighters. Now, the pan, I'll start with the pan on that.
Uh-oh.
We left our house with plenty of time.
Yes, ample time to have dinner. That's how much time.
Our goal, we were going to have dinner. We were going to park there, have dinner, and then get in the show. We had plenty of time. We were supposed to arrive at 4:30. We stopped for a quick drink in the P and keep driving down. And I use Waze because it does really good updates on that kind of stuff. And
Yep.
next thing it says delay. Another delay, and I found a new route, so we've got 10 minutes early. Oh, there's another delay, and we've the route again, and now you're going to show up at 5:30 instead of 4:30. Okay, now we're sitting in traffic at 5:30 turns into 6:30, and we didn't park until 7 o'clock.
Oh no!
When did it start?
Hard.
6.
Technically, doors open at 5.
Oh no!
The first band went on at 6.
First band was on at 6, so we missed the first band. Second band we caught a little bit of. They started at 7. They ended by 7:45. We were sitting in our seats as they ended.
Yeah.
And then Foo Fighters came on about 8:30. Yeah, insane.
But the reason that it took so long.
Well, so that's part of the plan as well. So the good news out of it was that the Toronto police took it very seriously. There was a threat. Well, that too. So they took a threat very seriously. There was somebody that was apparently going to try and drive through the crowds.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they were out in full force. Shut down a couple of streets around the area. But the other thing that was also going on in Toronto that I wasn't aware of was the Honda Indy, and they for the Indy race that they do, they actually use the streets of Toronto, and they shut off
largest city in Canada.
They shut off this main street area so that they could do these races this weekend. I don't give a flying fuck about Indy racing.
What the fuck?
But why are you shutting down our main streets?
Which is
In the biggest city in the... What the fuck?
Yeah, so they shut it down for 3 days. It's still closed. It'll
open Sunday at midnight.
Yeah.
So
The people in Houston would riot.
Oh, I was not impressed.
No.
The Canadians were going to write a stern letter.
A very strongly worded letter.
Yes, my NP is gonna. I'm telling you.
My end.
So back to the positive. Foo Fighters absolutely fucking rocked it. Entertained from. I didn't sit down. Right? I didn't feel like I needed to sit down. Like, yeah, it was just. They got the crowd into it. I don't know how many different times and how many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that Taylor Hawkins can sing like Freddie Mercury.
He's the drummer.
Oh, he was awesome. And then one of the guys from the first band.
The opening band. One of the opening bands was Struts, and their lead singer.
I love the Struts.
So that was what we missed them. We caught like one song, like their end song. So Luke Spiller, the lead singer of the Struts, came on and sang "Under Pressure" with
Taylor Lautner.
With Taylor Hawkins.
Lautner.
I don't know how to sing.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was really cool, and he kind of looks like Freddie Mercury too. Like he got the high cheekbones and the raspy.
So it was so cool because Dave Grohl played the drums for that song. The whole thing. I turned into a little kid when I was there. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Did you guys see the video from when they were in Austin of the guy that went viral that got on stage and just killed it on the guitar?
No, we don't know.
This guy in the crowd had his face painted like Kiss, and I guess maybe he had a sign up or something, but they called him on stage because he could play guitar, and he actually like he was amazing. And then he went viral for a few weeks, and all over Austin he would pop up with signs and with his face painted. Look him up because it's a pretty cool performance. Have you guys seen it, Eugene or Lainey?
No, I haven't. No.
I thought it was. I thought somebody was making it up because it's just like the plot of Rockstar.
No, but I mean, I had a friend who went there and saw it and then told me about it, and I started seeing it everywhere. So it's apparently an amazing performance.
I'll have to check that out. Chris, what's your pick or pan?
Kind of the same as Ray's. So
I figured.
Yeah, well, we were at the concert together. But it was awesome. We were deaf and hoarse when we left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's how you should be.
Scream sound.
Oh yeah, as loud as we could.
As loud as we could. At one point, we told the lighting crew to shut all the lights off. This is the Rogers Stadium. It holds 53,000 people.
56.
56, sorry. So we shut all the lights off and told everybody to light it up with their phones. And we lit up the whole stadium with just our phones. Oh, so cool. We knew a bunch of people were going there, so we were trying to figure out what we could make. At one point, we were like, we're going to stand up and wave our phones so you can see us. And so that was kind of fun.
Trying to find where they were.
Trying to find where they were and stuff like that. Because it's a big stadium. Yeah. And the traffic kind of sucked. But it was kind of funny, too, because it was 3 lanes of traffic during rush hour trying to merge into 1 lane. So there was a lot of...
Oh, yeah.
So it was interesting to see the people who didn't give wanted to get where they were going as fast as they could, so they were being douches. And then the other people who were just like, listen, none of us are going anywhere, so you go, I go, you go, I. We're going to take turns.
Canada.
Yeah, but at one point, Ray rolled down his window and started directing traffic from the car. He was trying to, like, avoid an accident.
Right? Everybody's Canadian father.
Which is funny.
So, I don't know if you guys remember this episode from Doctor Who. There's a Doctor Who episode, which is, it takes, like, 9 months to get a quarter of a mile.
Oh, yeah, that episode. Where everybody lives in their car.
All of them live in their car.
Oh, I do remember that one, yes.
That was us. It took us 2.5 hours to go 5 kilometers.
We joked at the 6 kilometer mark. I said, "Hun, maybe we should just park the car and walk." And we looked up. It would have taken us about an hour.
About the same time.
And I was like, well, maybe. And you know what? We should have done it because we would have been there faster.
Yeah, but the ride home was better because.
Oh yeah, I parked there.
Yeah.
So.
But that was an awesome concert.
Yeah.
Off the bucket, like that was a bucket list thing for both of us.
For sure.
And we just got to by luck because a buddy of his at work was selling his. So
at cost
for what he paid for them, so he didn't try to stiff us, which was great.
Nice.
So, and then Logan's having a good time. She's at a sleepover. She was super excited about that. Quinn was also excited that she was at a sleepover, because that meant that his big sister was out of the house and that she wasn't nagging him or like up his butt. So we went to my mom's, and my mom bought a new trailer, and he just spent the entire visit in the trailer watching Robin Hood Men in Tights by himself eating Oreos. Like he was living his best life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Saturday night to me. That's just.
So he had a great time. And then on Wednesday, I got a tattoo.
Yes.
Which was by far the easiest sit I've ever done. I've sat from anywhere from 15 minutes to 5 hours. And it was an hour and a half, pretty pain-free. And it's been the easiest one to heal up. Like, this is 3 days, and I can, like, rub my hand over it. Like, there's nothing. It's not even peeling.
Same girl did my hand.
Yeah, same girl did it. So I'm super happy about it. It's for my grandma, my granny. She's the queen bee of the family. And
that's great.
And then my favorite is I get ladies of a certain age compliment me on them. So they said it was cute. I also got a young man telling me I was dope. So that
you are dope.
Was super cool. You know,
nice.
Probably about 17 or 18.
Oh, there were a couple of parts of the concert. Sorry, just to go back to that for a second. You can look it up on YouTube.
I forgot. That was it.
There's a couple parts where it's just the crowd singing. And so there's some of the videos are better quality than others, but somebody got it from close to the stage, and they do this pan, and they're like, you can see the whole stadium, and all you can hear is the crowd singing, and it's awesome.
So another thing about the concert, and then I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
So Dave Grohl has 3 girls. His oldest is the same age as Logan. So he's brought her on stage a couple times, but he brought her on with for 2 songs as a backup singer. And the last song, he like pointed her out. She's on the jumbotron. He's like, "That's my boo. That's my baby. Everybody give it up for her." And they're clapping. And she's just like smiling, like,
"Thanks,
Dad. It's great, Dad."
Okay,
Logan, because Logan, her name's Violet. She had braces. She had same length as Logan, hair, same color, same cherub face. She would wear exactly what Logan would have worn.
Oh, it was a rainbow dress?
No, it was a sweater.
It was a sweater. It looked like a sweater, but it was the length of the dress.
And it was chunky, and it was perfect.
It was awesome.
We showed Logan a picture. She's like, "I love her sweater." I'm
yes,
like, I know, right?
I was going to say, I want this outfit.
So buy that when you come to Canada.
Yes.
Perfect.
It was awesome because he was so proud of his daughter, and he brought her up on stage, and it was really a moment. I loved it.
My favorite part of that moment, though, was he's sitting there and he's like, "Okay, no, we're in a stadium. You guys are going to give her a stadium applause. Let's hear that shit." And so, everybody applause and all that stuff. And then he's like, "Okay, nope, that's enough. It's going to get weird when we get home."
Yeah.
Cut off the applause. Nope, that's all you get.
That's awesome.
I just love that he brought his daughter on. And she actually's got a really sweet voice.
Oh, yeah.
She held her own, and it was really cute.
There's a video of her singing an Adele song, if you get a chance. Dave's playing guitar. They didn't do it for this show, but they've done it in previous shows.
I love how proud he is of his kid.
Yeah. So if you get a chance to watch that one, she kills it. She's awesome. Anyway.
Yay! Okay, we're done. That's been a good week.
Real quick, Joker's Wild points out in the chat room, 1979, the first Happy Meal was sold.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, that's a fucking important thing.
No, but I always think of that as more of an '80s thing.
But yeah, love the Happy Meal. Even though I purposely try not to buy the Happy Meal for the boys because it's another toy that they're not going to play with. Anyway,
Oh yes, they've got bucks instead.
yes. Back when there were cool toys, that was different. Jennifer, do you have a pick or pan for the week?
Yeah, I went to visit a friend last weekend in Fort Worth, and I got to see The Lion King, like the Broadway touring version of it, and it was amazing.
Awesome.
The talent was great, but if you've never seen it, the puppets that they use are just incredible, and they have a giant elephant, that takes like 4 or 5 people, and then giraffes, like people on stilts in a giraffe costume, and it's just beautiful and mind-blowing how they do it all. And yeah, it was just really, really one of the best shows I've seen. So yeah, that was
neat. If you go to the Festival of the Lion King at the Hong Kong Disneyland, they take a lot of their inspiration from the actual Broadway play, and they use a lot of like the puppetry and stuff. It's really pretty.
I believe it. Yeah.
I may or may not have watched YouTube video of it.
I can't imagine.
I was very skeptical, like going in. I mean, I was excited, but I was like, how are we gonna do an all animal show on,
I remember thinking the
longest
exact same
running
thing.
shows on Broadway, so
Yeah, but I mean, they did a great job, and
beautiful.
There's some things you just have to use your imagination with, but for the most part, it was,
That's awesome.
Very artistic. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember them announcing that and me thinking, how are they going to do that on Broadway? It's going to be like
They
it's
do
just gonna be
mermaids.
weird, but-
I mean,
Keep in mind, though, they do a fucking beautiful job with an all-animal cast. The fucking mermaids, good God Almighty.
also, this wasn't Cats, okay? Like
Fucking-
Cats the musical. Me too, girl. Fucking hate that show. And of course, it's coming to Austin, so I have 2 tickets for it. I got to get rid of because I'm not going to see that shit again.
Get really high and go see that. That might be fun.
To Canada in October.
Yep. Hey, Jay, do you have a pick or pan for the week?
Yeah. I actually just picked up a couple movies, and that weren't too bad. Pacific Rim Uprising.
I haven't seen it yet.
Tomb Raider.
How was Tomb Raider?
It was pretty decent. I mean, especially to, being a video game movie, it was much better than the whatever her name was, Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
based on a story.
Much better than that.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard. It was based on the new game.
Yeah, it's her origin story and everything, what got her started and to being Laura Croft as we know her.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, that one's popped up on the whole on the Apple TV, and I've been like, I don't know about that one. It's a video game movie. Even though 2 over from it is Rampage, and I'm like, I still kind of want to see that.
Oh.
We watched it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so should I just avoid it, or should I just be like, nope, this is a popcorn movie, just have fun?
To zone out
If
and
you want
not-
to zone a popcorn movie just for entertainment value, go ahead.
and not
Oh.
yeah, it's
There's too many other things to
watch
remind with. What you're wasting your time with.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to my picks or pans for the week. Apparently, she likes that. Went and saw Deadpool 2. If you like the first one, you're gonna like the second one.
Family movie.
Do what?
It's a family movie.
It's a family movie. The after credit scenes were phenomenal. That's all I have to say.
All like 4 or 5 of them, so stay for all of them.
Yes.
You're welcome, Canada.
You're welcome, Canada.
That's amazing.
I also went and saw Jurassic World. It was okay. It's not great. It's not as good as the first Jurassic World. Like, I liked that. I liked technically 4s, I guess what you'd call it. I like Jurassic World. This one was okay. I like where it ended, though. If you've seen the movie, where it ended, and from what they've said for the next movie, gives me hope, because they've already said the next movie is not going to have any hybrid dinosaurs. We're going back to quote unquote, OG dinosaurs. So I'm like, okay, from the way it ended and seeing that, I'm good. And then the last thing I have to put on there for a pick is Christy's friend Chad has been visiting with us the last couple of nights, and he had never seen the first season of Nailed It. And the second season came out, so we started watching that with him.
Yeah.
The second episode of the second season may be and when I say the worst episode, I don't mean like it. The people have no fucking clue on that episode. They had absolutely zero clue what the hell they were doing, and it was so damn funny. But yeah, if you've never seen Nailed It on Netflix, go check it out. It is funny as hell.
It's good. One of the
So
Queer Eye guys were on this season, right?
yeah, they had a little short kind of mini episode at the very end. So, which by the way, Christy and I started watching the second season of Queer Eye today too, and yeah, that's
Cried yet? Because I cried a lot.
yeah, I can see why.
Yeah.
That is our episode for the week, ladies and gentlemen. If you would please give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Music. You can find us at epicallygeeky.com. You can also find us on the social media at Epically Geeky. That would be on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Real quick before I go around for everyone else. So as this week, as you know, we did 70s stuff. Our next episode, we're going to move to a decade where most of us probably aren't going to have to do a ton of research because that was our decade, the 80s.
Blaney, do your research.
Blaney is going to have to do some research.
I just come along on a delightful trip down memory lane with you fools. How about that?
That would work too. So
don't
yeah, the next
remember
episode, we're going to move on to the 80s. So where can we find you on the internet, Ray?
Lake Life Artist on Instagram, and then obviously here or Marginal Geeky.
Where can we find you, Chris?
Here, Marginally Geeky, and on Instagram at Cedar Birch Cottage.
Lainey, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at It's a Laney Bird. You can also find me over at Epic Rhythm and Brews. And stay tuned because we have some cool stuff in the works. We're coming back with some changes, so should be pretty good stuff.
All righty. Jay, where can we find you online?
Really just Instagram, 1JRed. That's about it.
Jenny.
Sorry, Jen, I said Jay.
I thought you said Jenny, and I was like, okay, I guess.
I don't normally call you Jenny. That would be weird.
I know some people do though, so I thought, sorry, Jay, didn't mean to.
It's all good. Jen, where can we find you online?
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at It's Gonna Be Me.
It's gonna be me.
And if I did call you Jenny, I would do Jenny. But anyway, and you can follow my individual. You can follow my individual wacky adventure online at Optimus Gene on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For everyone on the site, have a good night.